And welcome to another episode of More Conversations with the Average Black Man. I am Timotheus, and this is my co-host, Morphine. Everybody, welcome to the show. Yes, 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 yes. All
Hi
right, so
everybody. Hi everybody. I'm back at it again with another one. We're back at it again with more media. And this time, we're getting back to the political conversation. We're going to teach y'all some things today. I hope y'all open to learn something that you might not have known. But I'm gonna swing it back to my wonderful, wonderful co-host.
well, yeah, this episode we want to talk about something that's it's important right now that people know about this Project 2025, especially with the political climate we got cracking right now.
Yeah.
So it's very important. And then with the just recent conviction of a certain individual, all of this type of stuff is very important. These are conversations that we actually need to have because we aren't talking about this stuff. We're too concerned with what a man ain't doing, what a woman ain't doing, who get married, who ain't get married. Vivica Fox hit the wall. We we need
you
to
know,
we need to actually touch on something that's that's real, that's tangible, that's could affect everybody's lives, not just the lives of the community. And that
right.
is Project 2025. And what is Project 2025, you ask? Well,
What is this? What is that?
Project 2025, also known as the Presidential Transition Project, is a collection of policy proposals to reshape the federal government in the event of a Republican victory in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. This is what it
Hmm.
is. And
We want to break it down to y'all. We're gonna break it down.
this is relatively new. It's new to us too. It's been around for a while, but it's been relatively made brought to our attention. And they've been distracting us with P. Diddy and all that old stuff and the
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick and all of that beef. You know how they do. They
Mm-hmm.
When they want to put something up, slide something up under you, they make you look, the good old trick. Look over here. Well, I'll do this over here. You know what I mean? Keep looking, though. Keep looking. Hold on. Keep looking. Hold on. Okay. Then they come back like, hey, you had a chance to vote, man. You didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So some of the key points what we want to go over are replacing. They want to replace tens of thousands of federal workers with conservative appointees. So they want to take
Mm.
out federal workers and replace them with federal appointees. Wow, right? You know what I mean? They
Right.
they want to reshape federal agencies. Uh, they want to give more power to the president. They want to overhaul the Justice Department, reducing the influence of the deep state. They uh, they want to implement a Marxist version, a Maximus, excuse me, a maximalist version of the executive theory, which basically means giving absolute power to the president over the executive branch and more so than the executive branch. So basically, they want to take away some of the power of Congress and the courts. They want to terminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs as well as affirmative action. They want to deploy the military for domestic law enforcement. I'm saying it again. They want to deploy the military as domestic law enforcement.
It's domestic law enforcement.
They want to redirect the DOJ and reshape the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice. And we're going to bring up something that just happened recently, goes right with that. And it's going to give them agency to make this claim to the voters because of something that just happened. They want to arrest and detain and deport all undocumented immigrants across the country. Then they want to promote capital punishment with speedy finality. So no more due process. And that's just touching on that. You got anything you want to add or talk about or questions?
Um, I gotta pull up the notes, but just basic off of. I have a video that I would like to show you all. That's going to basically break down a lot of things that Timotheus has brung up. It's really really in depth. A lot of the things that he want to get rid of is administrative state, and it's all the things that we need. It's the CDC, it's the Department of Human Services, it's shoot,
The
FBI,
FDA,
CIA, and
the
CIA. Like
the,
all the
the
letters.
E they want to get rid of the EPA, the FDA, the
Mm.
Department of Education, the Department of Justice. It's like it's like what's going on here?
Like no check and balance in this situation. Like there's not going to be no check and balance, y'all. Basically, that's basically what he's saying. I'm signing into my
Oh, I thought you was gonna play the
notes.
video right now.
I'm trying to. I had to sign into my notes, so I'm doing two things at one time. Two things at
While
one
she,
time, y'all. Two things at one
oh,
time.
so while she's doing that, I'm gonna read some more. But we got popping over here. So what does this mean for us? How could they do this? How can they implement these types of radical changes? They they can they can reduce federal workers by issuing executive orders to reclassify certain positions as political appointees, allowing for easier replacement. So basically, via executive orders, they can make positions that were uh, you had to be voted in and they can just say you don't have to vote. They can just appoint somebody. Like we're gonna just appoint who we want. They can read.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, there you go. There you go. There you go.
I'm not. I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it. I'm just getting it lined up.
Oh, okay. They can reorganize and merge agencies. So if you're wondering how could they be like, you're like they can't get rid of the DOJ, they can't get rid of the department of this and the department of that. Technically, they can't get rid of it. But what they can do is they can take something like uh, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. They can take that and
What
merge it together with the
what
Department of Agriculture. And
what he
so,
what I think what he really what they want to do is basically reemploy the administrative state. So some 20,000 or 25,000 employees they want to fire and put the people that they want in these positions.
well,
Which
more than that, they want to deregulate. They want to deregulate because regulations are rules that are in place that prevent them from doing certain types of things. So,
mhm,
so legally they can't get rid of the Department of Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, but they can merge it together with the Department of Agriculture, for example. So by
mhm,
merging it together with the Department of Agriculture, it kind of reallocates those powers. So everything that was priority to them now has to go through a different set of channels. So when before it was like, okay, we got a designated team to do this. It's like, well, we're gonna merge these together. By merging these together, there's gonna be a massive layoffs. Certain projects are gonna have to completely disappear, and it's gonna be easier for them to start deregulating. And
yeah.
so, and what does this mean for us? It means we're gonna have to worry about if they reallocate responsibilities of the FDA to the Department of Agriculture. So it's like, well, okay, so now the Department of Agriculture is going to be responsible for making sure we got clean water. It's going to be responsible for. It's like
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
just it's putting too much responsibilities on one agency, and then and with the first prompt, they're saying they want to reallocate the employees and put in who they want to have in there, but that has conservative values. So it, it,
Yeah.
it's it's scary. It's absolutely scary.
It absolutely is. Now, for
Now
this
we,
guy that I'm about to pit on,
yeah, I see it say 21 minutes. Well, we gonna how long we gonna let it roll?
well, listen, we're gonna have to keep pausing this shit because infringement, shit like that. So we're gonna pause it a couple of times, and I don't think we have to watch the ending though. But from beginning to end, this is pretty. It pretty wraps up everything that we saying. We could go into our notes and we could break down some of the things that he's saying within there. It break us back to the notes, so we could circle the conversation around this video. But yeah, ready? Shall we press play?
Go ahead.
And I'm Jesse Dollar. Let's time travel for a second. The year is 2025. It's January 20th. Donald Trump has just been elected for a second term as president of the United States. The numerous legal cases couldn't apparently keep him down, and in fact, only made his supporters go harder for him. The media, unable to learn the lessons of the past, spent an outsized amount of time reporting on President Biden's cognition and how no one really likes or trusts Vice President Kamala Harris. And now Trump is set to take his place back in the White House. And while the media didn't learn lessons from the past, Trump's 2025, there are no more anonymous New York Times op-ed writers reassuring Americans that despite what they see, there are people around Trump reeling in his worst impulses. There are no more Vice President Mike Pence's ready to sabotage Trump's authoritarian impulses and demands to stay in power. No, it is Trump in the halls of power, where he will remain, possibly forever, if conservatives succeed with Project 2025. Every election cycle, we hear the oft-repeated phrase, "This is the most important election in your lifetime."
This is the most important election of our times.
This is the most important election in.
I'm gonna have to pause because we already played a minute and 30 seconds. All right, so they about to get into his entry of what his thoughts on this 20, well, not his thoughts, that he's gonna hit the facts before he hit his thoughts. His thoughts is at the end, so we don't have to watch that, but in between them.
So with what he just said, though, it goes right to this plot.
This November's
No, wait,
elections.
you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was talking. You couldn't
No,
hear me
what you was
talking?
gonna say?
I was saying that this
I couldn't. I got a little lag going over here.
Yeah, it coincides right with the plan to increase power to the president, and all of the little things that we've been watching going on with Trump is getting the American people in their minds conditioned to want to do that. They got people right now that are speaking about his verdict, saying that his verdict was injustice. He did not get due process. How do you go to trial and have a jury and that's not due process? But there's people that's literally believing this. They want to. So this is like, so this he can now after this get up on stage and say it's a witch hunt. Stuff he's been saying. The courts are ridiculous. We need to redo the Department of Justice. We need to redo the DOJ. DOJ needs an overhaul, and people will be like, yeah,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
This is preposterous. Black people been saying that justice system been toe up for like 50, 70,000 years. But then a person that gets found guilty from actually doing the crime, it's like, oh, this is preposterous.
Yeah, which is crazy because when we said it, they didn't want to believe it. But you know how that go.
There was another time that those same type of people said this. It was during the O.J. Simpson trial when he was found innocent. The same people was like, "This is preposterous. How did he get off?
How did he get off?
How did he get off? This justice system is messed up." Like we've been saying, now y'all know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Well, okay,
What?
we didn't elapse time long enough because I want to make sure we had enough time lapse before, because fair use is picky like that.
Yeah.
Are more important than any I can remember in my lifetime, and that includes when I was on the ballot.
And we can't let them change the most important election in our.
It's easy. And also think BS when you hear it's the most important election in your lifetime. Now, this might be the worst segue in the history of segues, given that I just spent a fair amount of time shitting on the phrase, but this might really be the most important election in your lifetime, and that is because of Project 2025. Before we get into Project 2025, let's take a step back and think about how close we came to our democracy crumbling entirely under Donald Trump. Donald Trump and his loyalists, who held positions all throughout the government, in Congress, the Pentagon, the Secret Service, and Homeland Security, and of course, spanning the entire Republican Party in disparate states all across the country, entered a criminal conspiracy, one within, to stand up and provide aid to a group of thousands of armed insurrectionists who attempted to overthrow the United States government in order to see Donald Trump extra constitutionally and extra democratically inserted as president, despite 60,347 votes. In addition to this effort, Trump and others attempted to defraud the United States and her people by putting forward a fake slate of electors, which they hoped would cause Vice President Mike Pence to refuse to certify Joe Biden's win.
And pause. So, what's your thoughts on that, sir?
So I don't want to get too hung up on Trump's name because Project 2025 has absolutely nothing to do with him particularly. It is a presidential transition for
matter.
any
Republican.
Republican candidate. Any Republican.
I absolutely agree.
To what he was saying though, they want to create an American dictatorship. Some characteristics of a dictatorship that are similar to the proposals in Project 2025 include centralization of power in the executive branch and the reduction of independence and autonomy to the other branches and agencies, the potential use of the Department of Justice and the law enforcement to target political opponents and silence dissent, limitations of individual rights, the expansion of capital punishment, and the potential to reduce due process and civil liberties, military control, the deployment of the military as domestically, potentially to maintain control and to suppress opposition, which is martial law, which is what the Second Amendment is there for, to protect us against a tyrannical government. And lastly, a lack of transparency and accountability, the potential reduction of oversight and transparency, making it difficult to hold the government accountable for its own actions.
Well, yeah.
Yep. And that's right out the notes.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what part of the notes are you reading?
The creation of an American dictatorship. I just read that section.
I got you. The plan of the yeah. He's about to go into the segue of the plan to increase power of presidency, but he's just using Trump as the segue because that's who's running. He's just using the candidates that's running.
Yeah, he's the candidate running, right?
Yeah. All right, so let's go.
There have now been dozens of indictments related to these alleged anti-democratic criminals, and if not for a scant handful of individuals who were slightly more loyal to the Constitution than they were to Donald Trump, this plot may have been successful. which, by the way, Trump and his team know this. They won't make the same personnel choice mistakes next time. So let's talk about that, the lessons Trump and the conservatives around him learned, and how they plan to improve their efforts to overthrow our democracy in the form of what they're calling Project 2025. If you haven't heard of it, it's a nefarious plot for conservatives to take back our government, not just through conservative policies, but also putting people into place who will do their bidding through executive action they hope the next Republican president will implement. Conservative organizations and activists have united to create this plan that will begin day one of the new Republican president's administration, with the primary goal of dismantling the federal government and replacing it with one made in the image of the most extreme right-wing zealot you can imagine. This is beyond scary, especially as we face the likelihood of another Trump versus Biden rematch in 2024. And think of it, we're now less than 1 year away from the presidential election. So it's time to get serious and get to work. But that starts with educating yourself about the dangers of what is to come if a Republican, whether it's Trump, DeSantis, Ramaswamy, Haley, if a Republican, any Republican, gets into power again. This is probably still sounding a little vague, so let's make...
All right. Let's pause. We just said something along the lines of, it doesn't matter whether it's Trump, whether whomever it is, it's as long as it's a part of the Republican Party, then this these policies, this 900 and something leisure will be implemented day one of the president-elect that is from the Republican Party. So all the candidates and the candidates thus far will be vetted to be okay and ready to implement this plan and this procedure. You know, they just like, yo, it don't matter who you vote for. Shit, we got them all, right? We got them all. We got them all in the bag. Back to our notes. Our notes kind of talk about the plan to increase the power of presidency, and how Project 2025 proposal would increase the president's power or potentially limit the checks and balance of the U.S. constitutional system. Their plan is to expand the president's authority by granting him more power over certain agencies, mostly the administrative agencies, because that's what they learned from the last run that really kind of socked it to him, and they really couldn't get certain bills passed, and he really couldn't just, write off some things and without going through the Supreme Court system. He just want to wave his pen and do what he need to do. Him, her, don't matter. That's just what they want. And giving the president more control of the Department of Justice and the law enforcement, instead of that being like state to state, like maybe how some of it is, not all of it. But he wants to get rid of the state to state thing. He wants to get rid of the federal thing. He wants the presidents and the presidential state to be able to control all of that. That is leading all that back to the all the executive branches being led back to the presidency. Now, my co-host, do you got anything to add to that?
That's pretty much what it says. The way that they can do this is by expanding the presidential authority, granting the president more power over the agencies and appointments and budgeting, allowing the president to deploy the military domestically without congressional approval, emphasis, giving the president more control over the Department of Justice and law enforcement, which is a whole other branch of the government that's not the executive branch, but the judicial. So that's already an infringement on the Constitution right there. Reducing the checks and balances, limiting the independence of all the federal agencies and civil services servants, reducing the role of Congress in the oversight, potentially limiting the judiciary ability to review executive orders. So he wants to be able to write executive orders and not have to submit it to Congress. Just, you know what? Let's do this. All right, do it. That's a dictatorship. that's a king. That's an emperor. You don't know, that's not a president. The consolidation of powers, consolidating the power of the executive branch could potentially lead to an imperial presidency. And I just said an emperor. I just said that. Reducing the influence of the other branches and other independent agencies. So basically, if the president says, "Ooh, I found oil. We found oil over here. Let's go dig it up." Before, the FDA would be like, "You can't go over there. It's wildlife over there. The potential to poison the water is going to be over there. If you poison the water, that's going to affect these people. It's going to affect these people, and these people might." And they're like, they want to get rid of those regulations. They want to it's all about deregulating. And that's all I have to say. If you want to go ahead and put it back on. You're on mute.
Make the threat clear. Trump has made it a feature of his pledges for a second run at power to be a dictator on day one.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, no, other than day one.
He has stated with zero Republican objection that the 2020 election, which was not stolen, gives him the authority to terminate all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the United States Constitution. Donald Trump has indicated on numerous occasions that he intends to reward those insurrectionists who attempted to keep him in power with full pardons.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly.
He's promised white nationalists to violate the United States Constitution by illegally ending birthright citizenship with the stroke of a pen through executive order.
Going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship.
Announced.
I want people to
I just want to know, what
understand.
do that mean?
It literally means that he wants to undo the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. So that
Can we pull out the 14th of it?
So all of these people that are like, "Oh, I love the American Constitution is the greatest thing in the world." Trump wants to undo the Constitution.
I'm about to look that up. Look at Google over here reading our minds. All right. I mean, I'm gonna pause. It's still paused. It's still paused, people. We'll come back to that. I just want y'all to see this real quick. Y'all see that?
Okay. 14th Amendment, Section 1.1 says historical background on citizenship clause in the 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction, therefore are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. That is from constitution.congress.gov. You want me to pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, you pull it up. You pull the references up. I do the video since I can't do both at the same day. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Can you zoom in? Is your Zoom like my Zoom? There you go. There you go. All right.
So again, this is the government website. This is the Constitution website. This is not some Google said.
Right.
14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law in which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny any person within the jurisdiction to have equal protections under the law. So what this means, in context today, this means that if they're going to start changing the Constitution, notice that that they're talking about the 14th Amendment. What's the amendment before that one?
Okay. Pull up the 13th Amendment.
You should everybody know that one. The 13th Amendment is the
Amendment
abolishment of
slavery.
slavery, and
The
unless
13th.
used as enforcement for punishment of a crime. So
Oh well, it gets better.
so listen. Prior to the 14th Amendment, slaves were not protected under the law. They were property. And the 14th Amendment gave us protection under the law because we were born here and born citizens. So if they're going to take that away, there's a possibility that we the people that look like this, lose our protections under the law because we're no longer citizens anymore. It's deep. But you can go ahead and roll the video unless you want to touch on that.
The video is wild. The video was 30 minutes long, so we got time to touch on things.
Right,
time to touch on things.
Yeah, we only been in 30 minutes. Okay, what you? Oh, that's a Trump quote. What you got?
All right, I paused on the Trump quote. The Trump quote says, matter of fact, we're gonna let this motherfucker say, where is it?
His plans of an all-out constitution by illegally
Treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons.
order.
Going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship.
He's announced his plans of an all-out assault on the First Amendment protection of the free press by investigating news outlets for treason. And of course, he has also demanded on multiple occasions that he wants to have the government authorities murder suspected shoplifters and drug dealers.
Very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot as you are leaving that store. Shot.
When we catch a drug dealer, the only way you're going to stop it is the death penalty.
And none of this.
Who does most Americans think drug dealers are? You're on mute. What particular?
I said so. Let's talk about that.
What
but there's some
particular
Americans. They predominantly think that they're Black or Latino.
Okay.
And I have talked to one of the guys that follow me. Shout out to Hannibal. It's two of them. The one know who I'm talking about. And he was talking about how the ladies and the people, some of the people that died during 2020 would have never passed away or been unlived by police if they wasn't around or affiliated with drug dealers or people of criminal adjacent. So if they wasn't messing with those people, then they probably wouldn't have never been in that situation. So there are some thoughts amongst the Black community that feel as though that's not a bad thing to kill all the drug dealers. Unalive. I'm sorry, we're on YouTube. To unalive all of the drug dealers and anyone that is assumed to be selling drugs. And we already know from the Innocence Project that they do anything like to prove that you're selling narcotics or what they presume is drugs. Not to mention, he just said that he was going to get a pardon to all the people that actually did commit a crime, a crime of storming the Capitol building with weapons and shit like that. So, but at the same time, he wants to arm himself so it won't happen to him. That's crazy. What's your thoughts?
Everything that they're saying is it's pretty much designed to infuriate and inflame and empower, encourage, and embolden a certain group of people. And this is very, 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 very dangerous language to use because I'm lost that these conservatives that love the Constitution so much are cheering on to this man literally saying, I want to rewrite the Constitution. You dig? It's the wildest thing I've ever seen. I just got a message from him.
Yeah, I'm listening. What we see. Oh, you put it out to join the panel.
Yeah, I'm putting it out right now because we need some more interaction popping.
Don't forget to put them all in the bad chats. All right, that's me. I'm about to play.
Go ahead.
This is even touching on Republican plans to erase trans people and weaponize the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to increase abortion surveillance in their ongoing effort to criminalize reproductive health care. Now that we have this out of the way, and that's only a bit of it, let's get into specifics. Dangerous starting point in this radical plan. On October 21st, 2020, Donald Trump signed an executive order to implement Schedule F, and luckily, President Biden took office just a few months later, repealing Schedule F via executive order, taking us back to where we need to be. But what is it? Let's turn to Axios. Schedule F established a new employment category for federal employees. Tens of thousands of civil servants who serve in roles deemed to have some influence over policy would be reassigned as Schedule F employees. Upon reassignment, they would lose their employment protections. New presidents typically get to replace more than 4,000 so-called political appointees to oversee the running of their administrations. But below this rotating layer of political appointees sits a mass of government workers who enjoy strong employment protections and typically continue their service from one administration to the next, regardless of the president's party affiliation. An initial who came up with Schedule F found it could apply to as many as 50,000 federal workers, a fraction of a workforce of more than 2 million, but a segment with a profound role in shaping American life. So, in essence, Schedule F gives Trump the power to fire tens of thousands of government officials and replace them with people who are loyal to him and support his agenda.
All right, so
Now hold on, wait. Let's do what he just said. The Presidential Transition Project, known as Project 2025, is a collection of proposals to reshape the federal government in the event of a Republican victory in the 2024 presidential election. It was established by the Heritage Foundation. It's not a political group, private company. It was established by the Heritage Foundation. The project aims to recruit tens of thousands of conservatives to replace existing federal civil servants and further the objectives of the next Republican president. That's what he just and that executive order that Trump had already put in place before before Biden got in did exactly that. So that is what he just said is evidence to the implementation of this project.
That I must include started in 2016. This project started in 2016. We just hearing about it, and its exclusiveness right now. Like, if it wasn't such a trendy topic, if it was an election year, we would never have been talking about any of this. I think it was already out for the public to talk, because I think this video is old. Let's see. It's not telling me how old this video is. But this guy was talking about, oh, okay.
No, it's
So
right
this
there.
came out
January,
June 5th.
January,
Yeah,
January
January
5th.
5th. This early this year. And I think our election, we're in an election year right now, right? Right. So everything is coming out, and everybody's agenda is coming out right now. Everybody's proposals or what the hell they were working on from maybe 2021 or maybe 2017 or 18 is coming up now. Now, this proposal, this again, 900 and something odd page, called the 2025 Mandate for Leadership. Shit is long. 900 and something odd pages. They made a manifesto. And it's scripted. It's really shit. You could get this. I don't think you could get it on Amazon like Prime. Can you? Oh, you could get it on Amazon Prime. So look, read it for yourself. Again, I'm gonna tell you what it's called. It's called 2025 Mandate for Leadership. The Conservative Promise. The Conservative Promise. Now, I remember my host saying something to me about how a conservative could be a Republican or a Democrat.
That's the book right there on the screen. Anybody that's interested in it, it's right there. This is the 900-page get down.
Yeah, I mean 900 plus page get down. And I bet to me asking you a question, Mr. Average Black Man. Mr. Average Black Man, I believe you said something along the lines of a Democrat could be a conservative. Like, that's not exclusive to one party.
Absolutely. A Democrat can be a conservative, can have conservative values, and a Republican can have liberal values. The sets of values have recently become more what's the word I'm looking for? Have become more used as rhetoric now than anything else. So
I think yep. Go
so
ahead.
so the key components to be a conservative is the belief in limited government intervention in personal and economic matters, support for individual freedom and rights, advocacies for a free market, traditional values and relief, family and marriage and religion, opposition to abortion, or when you if I can say it again, support of the Second Amendment rights, uh, lower taxes and reduce government spending, deregulation of industries, support for businesses and entrepreneurship, strong military and defense capabilities, support for a robust national defense, uh, respect traditional institutions and values that support sorry, that distracted me. Support for personal responsibility and self-resilience, respect for traditional institutions and values, belief in limited government and intervention. It's pretty much repeating itself. So that's the conservative ideology. The liberal ideology is the belief in active government involvement in society and economics.
Reactive.
An active belief.
Okay.
An active belief in government involvement, the
Okay.
support for reproductive rights and pregnancy termination, advocacy for LGBTQ plus rights and marriage equality, support for the Second Amendment. That's the same thing. No, support for gun control and regulation, higher taxes on the wealthy, and social programs, government investment in healthcare, education, and social welfare, support for labor unions and workers' rights, emphasis on diplomacy and international cooperation, support for nuclear disarmament, and reduce military spending. You know, hearing a lot of this, it sounds like it's opposite, but you can have an amalgamation of these two, which is why I said you can be a Democrat and have conservative values. Celebration of diversity and multiculturalism, support for social and political activism, belief in the government's role in addressing social and economic inequalities, and federal governance and regulation. So, so if the ideology was set in stone, you could not be a Republican and be pro-choice. But there are Republicans that are pro-choice. So that makes them liberal. That makes them liberal Republicans. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
There are Democrats that are super Christian and religious and don't support LGBTQ. That's a conservative value, even though they're a Democrat. So that's what I'm saying. So these ideologies are not fixed in stone the way people think that they are.
All right.
Think about that. Our government is made up of thousands of nonpartisan civil servants who move from administration to administration just trying to do their jobs. But with Schedule F in place, the next Republican president will be able to terminate these employees in order to hand over the positions to people who have been handpicked by conservative activists for how loyal and radical they are. Also reported here, sources close to Trump say that if he elected to a second term, he would immediately reimpose it. Theory could fire tens of thousands of career government officials with no recourse for appeals. He could on Project 2025 has been working with more than 50 conservative groups to compile what has been referred to as something akin to a consultant. That is a database of tens of thousands of Trump, or insert another Republican here, loyalists. Into reporting from the New York Times, Heritage usually compiles its own personnel lists and spends far less doing so. But for this election, after conservatives and Mr. Trump himself decried what they view as terrible staffing decisions made during his administration, more than 50 conservative groups have temporarily set aside rivalries to team up with Heritage. They have already identified potential administration officials in their database by the end of 2024, according to Kevin Roberts, the president of Heritage. Heritage has contracted the technology company Oracle to build a secure personnel database, Dr. Roberts said. And you may wonder why I keep saying Trump or insert another Republican here. And that's because, yes, Donald Trump is the most clear and present danger here, but so is any other Republican who is eager to go along with the plan. Picking up right where that last New York Times quote left off, quote, in 2016, the conservative movement was not prepared to flood the zone with conservative personnel, Dr. Roberts said. On January 20th, 2025, things will be very different. This database will prepare an army of vetted, trained staff to begin dismantling the administrative state from day one. Heritage and its project partners have already briefed Mr. Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida and their teams, Dr. Roberts said, as well as staff members for the other current and potential candidates, including Nikki Haley, the former ambassador to the United Nations, the entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former Vice President Mike Pence. They plan to give private briefings to all conservative candidates. We've often
This is wild, man.
Wow. This is
This
wild.
this is wild, and this is real. Like a lot of people are like wondering, like how can this happen? How can they do this? They doing it.
They
Yeah.
they started in January. It's June, people. We about to go walk in July.
No, it started when Trump was president the last time. He signed that executive
Well,
order
so
for Schedule F.
2016. Yeah,
Schedule F.
2016.
It's already popping. Like this
Mm-mm-mm.
is scary, people. Like people need to wake up. Like you need to like really wake up. It's just
People,
like
there would be no more IRS. The things that y'all love the most.
nah.
I
See,
thought, I thought, I thought,
but
I thought
see, you don't
Republicans loved
understand.
the
You don't
IRS.
understand. Well, no, they don't like
They do.
taxes. They don't like being taxed. But the thing about it is if if they can't be a society without taxes, because who's going to pay for these for the something simple? Who's going to pay for the street lights to come on at night? Because that's the Department of Energy, whatever your Department of Energy is in your state or your city. Where I'm at is called Edison. So the
When
state of
I'm at, it's
California,
called Pico.
yeah. So the state of California has a budget that they pay Edison for having the street lights on. The street lights ain't free. That's what tax money. That's what our local taxes, income sales tax, all of that everything goes to stuff like that. State, like when you file taxes, you file federal and state taxes. So they want to get rid of the federal income tax, but here's the contradiction in their philosophy. They want to have an increased military power. They want to increase military funding, but they don't want to have taxes. So where the money gonna come from to do that? see the hypocrisy there is it's a sham.
I think they think by defunding all these other programs, they could funnel money into the small ones that they want
It's
to.
it's a sham. It's a sham. It only sounds good to people that don't understand politics and government at all. I'm not saying that I understand it all, but I have enough common sense, I think, to know that certain things don't make, even with the other side. The Democrats too, the Democrats to me have a tendency to be so idealistic that it's unrealistic.
Right.
like one of the people in Congress was talking about, cows is farting, causing gases that's going up and eating up the ozone layer, and talk about we need to get rid of airplanes because airplanes are creating too much greenhouse gases. Like that's not ever going to happen. So you know what I mean? Like, so we're gonna go back. So we're gonna go back to being able to fly to London from New York in like 7 hours to it being a 3-day boat trip.
Right.
That makes sense. That's
No,
practical.
it's that practical.
You know what I mean?
All right. Let's go back into it. I mean, we don't got that much to go. Again, this is only 30 minutes. We just pausing this for
Yeah.
fair use.
Heard Donald Trump refer to people in his old
Fair use.
Yeah, I got it at the
as
bottom.
snakes
Okay.
and for Ambassador autocrat. Heard Donald Trump refer to people in his old administration as snakes and traitors solely because they stood in the way of his autocratic impulses. But what happens when tens of thousands of people have been handpicked by these radicals to replace nonpartisan career government officials? What happens when civil servants are replaced en masse in some misguided attempt to root out the deep state? How quickly will we fall? And we don't need to take Axios' word for it or the New York Times' word for it, or even the president of the Heritage Foundation. Trump himself has said that this is his plan. Watch him in a speech from Greensboro, North Carolina on June 10th, making it clear that he plans to purge anyone who stands in his way once he is reelected.
This is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country.
If we think about Project 2025 as a series,
I just want to pause for a second on the last part.
Go ahead.
Speak. Do y'all understand? Do y'all understand when I'm gonna say it for real? I mean, maybe YouTube gonna get mad at me for this, but do y'all understand when they say communist? What's a communist in 2024? Real shit. What's a communist?
A communist in 2024 it has been retitled as a far leftist. That's the new term for it. A communist is a far leftist.
Do you know? I'm gonna put the camera up. Do you know Martin Luther King was a communist in their mind? Malcolm X was a communist in their mind. Umar Johnson is going to be a communist in their mind. Anybody from the FBA Foundation of Black People, you're going to be a communist. Like anything that is pro your race is going to be communism. You do know that, right? Y'all do know that, right? All right. I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that. Go back to sit because I was comfortable right here. I'm gonna go back to sitting right here. But I just want y'all to know that any activist or any type of when you're trying to promote this or promote that or shit, you promote black art and just black art.
I got a
communist.
I got a cold one that's gonna make a lot of people unhappy. Feminism is a communist position.
Feminism is communism.
It's a communist position because communism is everyone's the same. There is no rich, there is no poor. Everyone's equal on all platforms. Every opportunity that's available to you should be available to me. And they try to use like China as examples of how communism is bad. China is not a communist. They say it's a communism,
they say it's a
society,
communist state society,
but it's not. They got an emperor. How is they got an emperor? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Let me go in here and look at these notes that you got way at the bottom.
I'm looking at these notes or because I'm like, because communism is. I always ask my people, my black folks, my black political folks, what the fudge is communism? I was born in 1989. I'm a millennial. What is communism? And every time they explain what it is, it just sounds like any political movement that you could think of, whether it's the LGBT, whether it's feminism, whether it's pro-black rights, whether it's women's rights, women's health.
All right, so check it out. Communism is a political and economic ideology that advocates for the abolishment of private property and the establishment of classes, stateless, and equal society. The core principles of communism include collective ownership of the means of production. So that means everybody owns a piece of the factory.
Right.
Everybody owns a piece of Apple. Everybody, the whole society owns a piece of Amazon. Everybody. Distribution of goods and services based on need rather than profit. So everybody gets to eat because all people deserve the right to eat and eat well. So if they're distributing a food there is no money. There's no buying food. You just, I'm hungry. I get to go to Nobu and eat Nobu food and have $700 plates just on GP, because there is, everyone has the right to eat. You don't buy nothing. No private property or wealth. So that means no paying rent. Everybody, you just live. Everyone deserves the right to live somewhere, but it doesn't factor in, where does this stuff come from? Who's going to build this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
No social classes or exploitation. So no rich class to exploit the low class to work in their factories for pennies while they make millions. You know what I'm saying? So you
Be the
you
thing.
working you
Most people, and the whole being able to own a
see, that's the
piece of
thing.
y- of Amazon. If you work for Amazon and I could buy in Amazon, like I could tear my paycheck and put $15 into Amazon in the stock, why can't I be able to do that? Like I should be able to do
But
that. I
see,
do agree with that.
this the thing though. No social classes or exploitation means, um so Gucci can sell a t-shirt, or like a Gucci shirt, for $5,000. It'll cost Gucci $15 to make that shirt, because they're gonna pay the person that's making it so many dollars an hour, and they have to pay for the materials it takes to make the shirt. So
Mm-hmm.
it costs them, it'll cost them $15 or $20 to make the shirt, and then they're gonna sell a shirt for $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's exploitation. That's that's you exploiting the the work of these individuals for an extreme profit. And number five, no government or state. So that means people govern themselves. How does that work? That's tribal. That's tribal.
That's tribal. That's
That's
tribal.
tribal. So imagine if the city of Philadelphia was your tribe, and everybody that lived in Philadelphia had to sit down together and have a powwow and come up with the rules and the regulations. That's ridiculous, right?
Well, it used to be like that at one particular time. I think it's a story.
How many
It
millions of people
it
lived in
wasn't
Philly? Come on.
millions. It wasn't millions, but there was a place, I think in Europe, some fucking weird, where they used to vote every year who they wanted to banish from their village every for 10 years. And everybody vote on this one person, and I think whoever got how many fucking votes gets they have to leave for 10 years. And if there wasn't no vote, the person that cast like called for the vote has to leave for 10 years. It was some like crazy ass situation. I think it was like before Rome decided to be a Rome, or Greeks decided to be Greeks. And then they came up with the whole government thing, and courts and things of that nature. And it stopped. It was working for a long ass time though. Like there was peace amongst the villages and shit. And then when they came up with the government and a state or a courtship of a government, shit just went left. There was Caesars and motherfuckers trying to come at other people and backstabbing other people. Politics been politics since motherfuckers decided to become social and civil. So social or civil, I don't know what came first. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. So communism aims to create a society where the works together for the benefit of all rather than for individuals. Oh, hang on. I got my background loud. Can you hear them in the background?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what exactly he was reading off on from these because he got them in numbers, and I'm like, what is the numbers that he? Oh, okay, I see it. Number two. Dang, you really read this. Well, I do see this. It says communism uh, wants like a variety of schools, which is branding includes Marxism, Leninism, and libertarian. Yeah, that's libertarian communities, as well as political ideology groupies around those. All these different ideologies generally share analysts that the current order of society stems from capitalism and its economic system and the mode of production. That in the system are the two major social revolutionaries and the the classies and the bourgeois. That's what they say. They say bougies, but I'm gonna say bourgeois. So with these corporations, the capitalisms and how the economic system is made off of capitalism is what I think most communists, when it comes down to money or just resources, will like to break down. I think the only thing I would agree with them is the fucking capitalism and the expectation of their capitalism. Why are you buying something that costs $12 to make and charging us $3,000 just because it got your name on there? Now I do remember Gucci making real because he started making men's shoes, or I think men's shoes, men's shoes, some shit like that. And this dude actually put a real gold leaf in the soles. That was very expensive, so he stopped selling that shit. But I remember when he first, came about, that's what he did. That must have been a real comfortable
Okay.
ass shoe. Like you're walking on gold.
All right,
Anyway,
let me
let's
get
go
back to
more
the
into to the
communism. Yeah. So
yeah.
communism aims to create a society where everyone works together for the betterment of all rather than the individual gain. The idea is to eliminate economic inequality, oppression, and alienation, and to create a more just and equitable society. That's where it goes wrong right there. You can't have
Right. I said that.
there is no equity in outcome. That's a fairy tale. The different examples of communisms include Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, which is China under Mao. Marxism and Leninism is Soviet Union and China as well. I can't say this word. It looked like it says Trotskyism, which is Cuba's form of uh, communism. I can't this and anarchism, which is
Anarchism.
yeah, which is Spain during the Spanish Civil War when they had anarchy. And democratic socialism in the Nordic countries like Sweden and Norway.
Mm-hmm.
Critics of communism argue that it has led to authoritarian regimes, suppressed individual freedoms, and failed to deliver on the promises of economic equality and prosperity. Supporters argue that communism has the potential to create a more equal and just society, and that its failures are due to imperfect implementations rather than inherent flaws of the ideology. That sounds like Disney right now. That sounds like Disney right now saying that our movies don't suck. You just are a sexist and don't want to see a movie with a girl as the hero. And not say that we wrote a bad story.
In this situation, I think it got to be a scale, a balance in this. Like you can't have a system where it's just all authority and there's no check in the authority. Then you can't have a system that's so liberal they just like tree hugging every fucking body, walking in the lilies, tree hugging everything, and we're just going to live off the land, and but there is some things in communism I do like the idea of owning a piece of Amazon. If I work for Amazon, I like that. That rings bells. And the exploiting of designer labels and big brands and things like that. And they don't even pay that much for their damn materials, but charging us absurd money to buy that shit. Now, Can we do some check? And then there's some things in a communist plan that I like as well. Like, can we mesh some of this shit together and then come up with like a cool ass plan? Because it seemed like they supposed to marry each other. It seemed like mom and dad, and they got a divorce, and neither one of them functions together by themselves. They need to come together.
Welcome to America.
Right. That was supposed to be America, right?
No,
All right, let's go.
That is America.
About to not be anymore, brother. Let's
wait. Because in fairness, we read communism, so we got to read the opposite too.
All right, come on, let's read the opposite.
So the opposite of communism is often considered to be capitalism. An example, capitalism is a political system that emphasizes private ownership of means of production, creation of goods and services for profit, individual wealth and property, free market and competition, limited government intervention in the economy. Capitalist system, individuals and businesses own and operate the means of production, and the market determines the distribution of goods and services. The goal is to generate profit, in which seems to be the only motivator and innovation and efficiency. And I land the plane. So we all
got
understand
problems with that.
Well, none of us should, because we've already been bred and indoctrinated to the bone with capitalism, because we live in a capitalist country. We understand that if you start a business, that you should profit from it, which is why you can pay $13 to make a shirt and sell it for $3,000.
I mean, there's that. $10 to make this shirt, but it costs 13,000 and 1,300 for you, even though I paid 12. For the panel that just jumped on.
Welcome everybody to the stage.
Welcome.
What's up?
Can we get a debrief? Do you guys need a little brief of what we're talking about today?
I've been listening to a little bit of what y'all been talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I guess Neo wants something.
That sound like drunk Neo. So basically, what we've covered, I'm gonna just scroll up through the notes. What we've covered in this video, what's interesting is that she found a video that 100% complements the notes that we had already pre-wrote for this show. Shout out to Trey Ferg. Welcome to the stage. So
I said I was studying. I did my due diligence.
So just the basic definition of what Project 2025 is a presidential transition project, is a collection of policies to reshape the United States government in the event of a Republican victory in 2024. It was established in 2022 by the Heritage Foundation as a conservative think tank. The project aims to recruit tens of thousands of conservatives to replace existing federal workers to further the objectives of the Republican Party. And through this video that we played, with this 2022 date is incorrect, because in this video they touched on an executive order that Trump signed while he was president called Schedule F. And what Schedule F was is it gave him the ability to fire tens of thousands of federal employees without any repercussion and replace them with Trump loyalists. Now, one of the tenets in Project 2025 is to replace tens of thousands of federal employees with conservative appointees. So that's evidence of that attempting to be implemented. Then earlier we played in this video, they showed a clip of Trump giving a speech talking about the repealing of the 14th Amendment. And he framed it in the sense of, we're gonna make it to where undocumented immigrants can no longer have children here and they automatically become citizens. Now, people heard that through their
that was crazy.
People heard that through their ignorance and said, yeah, Yeah, that's good. That's go Trump. But they aren't understanding that means the repeal of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the thing that they claim that they love so much. So, and me being a person of color, because we on YouTube, I gotta say these particular terminology. Me being a person of color, I understand the history, and that if not for the 14th Amendment, we would still know, because we were property prior to the 13th and 14th Amendment. So the 13th Amendment gave us agency to be free, but it did not make us citizens. And the 14th Amendment was meant to give us citizenship and protections under the law. And Dred Scott case shows that barely happened. That the Dred Scott cases, I think, I don't quote me, but didn't the Dred Scott case come prior to the 14th Amendment? And the Dred Scott case led to, for those that are hip to it. I was gonna say it's dark over there, brother. It's dark.
Hey, listen, we love the darkness.
But
the
the point that I'm making is why all these people are cheering. Yeah. The undocumented, the illegals. I'm gonna throw that out there one time. Hopefully YouTube don't strike it. The undocumented workers, they can't have these anchor babies. Anchor baby is another term that Trump coined.
No, it's not.
He didn't coin it. It's been around.
It's been around for a long time.
Okay. First time I heard it was Trump, but they're not conceptualizing that he's saying, I want to rewrite the Constitution. But these same conservatives claim that they love and adore and almost deify the Constitution. But he's talking about undoing it. He's talking about undoing a number of amendments and bringing it back to its original state, to the letter of the law, without any interpretation. Now, remember, he was saying he wanted to be president for the rest of his life. There's Amendment 20 something implements presidential terms. So he wants to get rid of that too. So in turn, that does away with the vote.
It's we can get to that part of the video, but let's go back to the video.
Oh, hold on. You was catching everybody up, bro.
Yeah, I was. She ready to go. She ready to go.
This video is long. We got to keep pausing it because we got to do the fair use thing. Any before I press play, any opinions?
Yeah, lots of opinions.
All right, come on. Let's like go before
I mean, I don't want to take up all the time. I don't want to take up all the time.
Stop it.
But there's a lot of stuff that y'all was just
walk it down.
Stuff, shooting from the hip, like wild stuff. First off, one of the things you said was this is the Heritage Foundation, correct? Literally, that means they have zero power. All they have is suggestion. Right, like let's clarify.
No. Hold on. Because you're right. But let's look at the reality of the world we live in. One word: lobbyist.
No, listen. Nobody's disagreeing with the issue of lobbying, but let's get down to nuts and bolts too. They have no legal power, so let's classify that.
Okay. Yeah, they don't need the legal power.
No, hold on. Another
classify as that though.
No, hold on. Another example of a private institution that literally writes the laws for the United States. ALEC is not a government agency. It is a private company that literally writes legislation. Literally.
Nobody's this.
But that's the point. Like what you're saying about the Heritage Foundation.
I know, but you're not letting me walk through
the same thing.
You're not letting me walk through it. I stepped through the door and you hit me in my face, bro.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook. Let the man cook.
I wanted to clarify that one thing so we don't conflate it. This is a lobbying entity of sorts, and we understand lobbyists get into the mix of stuff. And they, like you said, they do write laws, But that ultimately comes down to the legislators making sure that they actually doing their job, right? So the lobbying problem is a problem that can be leveraged by both Democrats and Republicans. It's an equal opportunity weapon. So there's nothing pernicious specifically about the way it's being used. All right, this is a gun. Both Democrats and Republicans pick it up and can use it, and both of them do use it. All right, so there's no specific advantage here. All right, so that's the first aspect. Second aspect is the governing body. You're talking about all this stuff that can change when it comes to firing these federal agencies and whatnot, and this, that, and the other. There is, from what I remember, there is a certain amount of people that can't be fired from an agency all at once. But entire agencies under the president, current laws under the president right now can shut down an entire agency. If the president right now says goodbye FBI, goodbye FBI. If the current president right now says goodbye FDA, DEA, whatever enforcement agency out there, it's goodbye agency, and all those people are shit out of luck, out of a job.
There is a clause to
Administrative
that,
agencies. That's what you're talking about, Marie.
Yeah, because I had looked into that too, because that was the first initial question I had. Like, how can they just abolish the DEA? And they technically can't abolish it, but what they can do is merge one agency within another agency. So, for example, like the FDA can be merged into the Department of Agriculture. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That was just as an example.
When you say merge, the duties still need to be taken care of, right? So if you have, let's say, the U.S. Marshals taking over all of FBI cases, the FBI cases are still active, but the FBI could be gone and abolished, right? But the U.S. Marshals can take on that responsibility, but it still doesn't change the fact that the president has full power to be able to eliminate entire agencies if he so chooses, right? Again, current situation. So a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing from this guy, at least from what I've heard, seems to be just alarmist stuff, right? This is no different than when people are screaming, the world's going to end and we're going to be underwater because of global, I don't want to say it to YouTube, right? Stuff that we're going to be underwater and stuff, right? It's a lot of alarmism and apocalyptic, end of everything focus. There's gateways and checkpoints that have to be passed. Imagine, like, in order to change an amendment in the Constitution, you have to get 2/3 of Congress. I'm pretty sure there's other steps. I can't remember all the steps, but it's a lot to alter an amendment in the Constitution. The issue of flooding some of the the federal workers with more conservative leaning people. You don't think they already don't do that with the more liberal leaning people? What do you think DEI is? Right? These are things that have always been there. But I'll stop right there because I can keep going.
Well, DEI is something that is written into Project 2025 as something to outlaw.
Right.
Well, think about it though. I'm saying currently DEI is in these institutions right now, which is literally equivalent to flooding the employee pools with people that are like-minded ideologically, which is no different than what you're talking about as far as flooding the employment pool with conservatives. Like,
yeah,
Under
but
Trump.
I don't think it's either one is good. If that's what you're
completely
saying.
agree, but what I'm pointing out is the tools that are being used are already being used.
Well, we
The
can
ones
agree to that.
the things
Like
that
it's nothing. It's not. Certain tools aren't new. I can agree to that.
no, it's not just not new. The current the things that this guy is complaining about, what this Project 25 is going to do, are already things that the Democrats have been using already. They've already used. They've been successful in doing it already.
And just to go a little further than that, when you all were speaking about the capitalist mindset and way of living here in America compared to other countries, Brother Timothy, what country is that this guy is speaking from?
Well, from capitalism, the America.
No, the guy that was on the video. What country is he from? America?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
That's
he wasn't
morphine.
speaking
That's
on
her.
a. He wasn't speaking on capitalism. It was something that Trump spoke on, how he wanted to outlaw it or something like that. Like he wanted to basically
Okay.
abolish
Okay. So I heard Timothy
communism.
speaking. Brother Timothy has read out the definition of capitalism and gave some
Yeah,
examples of what it is.
right.
Now, and this is where I say every black man in America should be concerned about that because we are the capitalist property. What are you talking about? All of these agencies, how many young black people are getting positions in these agencies, whether they went to college or not? The income shows it. We spend the most and we buy the most. Simple as that. So we're creating these numbers based off our own lack of, I guess, wanting to just change our dynamic. We spend a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our children are still, you know what I'm saying, being treated subpar. We treat ourselves subpar. We're still spending a lot of money that ain't building a community. So who has to lobby against what we do? Nobody. But these agencies, yeah, just like you spoke about with Trump, he was going to put his people in just like he understand that everybody else putting their people in, and certain people can't get there. And that's why I can understand both sides. So it's really the lesser of two evils. This is probably our greatest time in our history going forward. That y'all young black folk better get together. I don't give a damn who's doing what. Find a common cause and stick together. Come out of the relationship. Because he's speaking the way the world moves. So I've been understanding this for the last 35 years since I went to Saudi Arabia. I want to know everything that they're doing. And that's how you should move.
Zoom in, Tim. Zoom to the zoom. There we go.
Now, this is everything since COVID. This is when they signed these new laws in. They're going to take effect, too, in the next 5 years.
So Executive Order 13957, signed by President Donald Trump on October 21st, 2020, created a new Schedule F category within the expected service of the federal workforce, with key points of this executive order were creation of Schedule F, which is we just basically read how it changes the policy, flexible hiring and firing. The executive order aims to give agency heads more flexibility to hire and fire employees in these positions without adhering to traditional merit-based hiring rules. This meant that employees in Schedule F positions could be removed without the usual procedures and protections afforded to other federal employees.
I need a closer synopsis of the actual executive order, because this is a synopsis, right? And so, what are they distinguishing as merit based? I need to know, what is it that they're actually stating? This is what we're basing these. This is what we did base the hiring on, and this we're no longer considering.
What does that law mean? Can I ask that question? What does that law mean? Anybody know?
This executive order that was written out of off, because it's just an executive order.
No, just tell me, what does it mean? What does that section that you just read out mean?
It basically means that department heads of agencies could fire people at will without having any cause or reason,
Yes.
and hire individuals that they wanted to, that did not have the merits to have the position, simply because they wanted that person to be there.
Yes. Only thing that means is they're acquiescing all of these new policies and laws to what we're seeing as far as the immigrations. Now, you can't be on a job 10, 15, 20 years and just think you're just going to work without working like a robotic slave or whatever, and they'll let you go. You won't get no retirement. You won't get no pension. You won't have no future. You'll be broke as hell because you'll still be buying the same shit. That's all this law is saying. Trump put it in play that, well, if he gets back in office, he's going to make it right. Now, understand, a lot of these laws, they go 3 or 4 or 5 years after they've been in office. So if we just voted out affirmative action, they put a stamp on it. So now you young brothers and sisters, if y'all don't got the credentials, y'all ain't gonna be able to get the job.
No, but affirmative action was replaced. We just did a show on that. What, the last
Yeah,
show,
they
the show
replaced.
before that?
Shit, they just made it more inclusive to other people outside of us. That's all.
It's been
It's been replaced with
DEI.
DEI.
With DEI, right. And
DEI says that it's gonna be more inclusive.
right.
We no longer that.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what Trey is saying. Trey Ferg is saying, because that was my position that I had when we had that show. It's like what this DEI initiative has done, and who is going to affect the most negatively are Black
The
women.
dark-skinned brother next to me, brothers that look like us.
Black women. Black women were most impacted because of this, and the reason why is because Black women used to check off not one but 2 boxes. They used to check off Black and woman, two marginalized groups. So this is when we had the big explosion of all these Black women getting all these good jobs and careers and all of that. It's because of affirmative action. But now that affirmative action is out of the way and there's DEI, they're like, oh, like you saying, Ferg, it's more of a focus on LGBTQ and all, and you got to have an Asian, you got to have an Asian
Palestinians,
person,
the Jews,
an Indian
they all coming.
person, right? An Asian person, an Indian person, a Latino. You got to have one of everything.
So it's diverse.
He laughing because that show, when I did that show, because I researched everything before we do a show, and the more I researched that show, the more and more ridiculous I saw DEI becoming, because it's in video games. You know, but we getting off the topic.
It's in everything. Like, it's in Charles. They sitcoms like that's on Nickelodeon and things like that. What, a Disney Channel? Their sitcoms got every race
as
in
friends.
there.
A whole friend group.
Like that's real. Like, all those people really in real life would live around each other.
Not even just not even
they do in Canada.
it's just
unrealistic. What are you talking about?
Well, hold on. I don't want us to get too far. I don't want us to get too far off.
Yeah,
of the topic, but no, DEI does apply to what we were just talking about, because 2025 project wants to eliminate DEI, and they want to get rid of the diversity hire and hire individuals that have the same ideology as the goal in place.
All right, well, let's get back to the video. Before, we're in the last 2 minutes of it, so hold on.
All right, everybody mute if you can. We got more than 10. We got another 10 minutes.
We got another 10 minutes of it. I said 10. All right.
Of steps to abolishing democracy. I'm not sure what step Schedule F is, but it certainly is his plan. Watch him in a speech from Greensboro, North Carolina on June 10th, making it clear that he plans to purge anyone who stands in his way once he is reelected.
This is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country.
If we think about Project 2025 as a series of steps to abolishing democracy, I'm not sure what step Schedule F is, but it certainly isn't step 1. This ball is already rolling downhill and it's picking up speed. With every person who works to undermine President Biden and downplay the threat from Republicans, that ball gets bigger and stronger and faster. We have less than a year to stop it because Schedule F is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Republican plans to abolish democracy and rebuild a system where they remain in power forever. Think I'm being hyperbolic? Donald Trump has already made it clear that he's out for revenge, retribution.
In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today, I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
Trump made it clear again in an interview on November 9th when he said he will certainly indict his political opponents, his political enemies, when he's president again.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you I'm on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from.
You gonna skip the commercial?
Can I say one thing, please?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I love how people like Trump has been at this for a while now. You know, and he was president for a while as well. And people, I like how people try to act like they can't understand Trump's rhetoric. Like this dude is always super hyperbolic in the way he speaks. But then we went through a whole 4 years of Trump presidency, and we didn't see nowhere near half the stuff that he was talking about. Right? But yet they're gonna take this stuff, and this stuff is mild in comparison to the first time he ran. And they're gonna act like he's plotting this ultimate emperorship of the United States. I just, again, more alarmist speaking and talking points.
I would like to add that this has nothing. This Project 20, this mandate has nothing to do with just Trump. It's a conservative order from the conservatives. So it doesn't matter if it's Trump, it's whomever in their party that is with this 2025 man. Hold on, wait. Let me pull it up. I'm pulling it up.
But he is this guy that's speaking.
It's called the Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise 2025. It is a 900 plus manifesto of shit that they want to do, okay? That they've been planning since 2016. Now, I believe my brother Ferb said that
this is a real book. This is the real document.
This is real. You could buy this. You can read this. Everybody can. Now, maybe this guy that we're watching right now is a super hung up, I hate Trump fan. That's neither here or there. The thing is about this mandate. Now, all Trump is doing is exaggerating this damn mandate. That's all. It's just exaggerating it a little bit, hitting them bubs, whistles, that little sprinkle, jizzle, whatever you want to say it. That's all you doing on the mandate. But it was something that is outside of him. Okay?
I have
outside of him. Go ahead. Let's go.
So my question is, does this divide America, the 2025 Project 2024 or 2025?
America has always been divided under the two ideologies of Democrat and Republican. That's the only. I think that's the only civil war that I think has been ongoing for the conception of the political platform.
When I say divided, I mean like the minority versus the majority, right, of America. So is America attempting to give power back to the original American, which I don't want to get into it, but you know what I mean. Are they
The
planning,
Indian,
or are they just
Right, you
saying
can't say
all,
that.
the Indian. No,
you
They don't know.
know,
They not giving that motherfucker back. No.
so are they, you know what I mean? Are
That-
they, or are they saying like all Republicans follow this kind of, we all think alike, so therefore it's not like dividing race or religion or culture and all that, you know? Like I read it. It's not really like separating colors and stuff like it's just separating this is what Republicans believe and this is how we're gonna go about it kind of idea.
Well, you got to
Which
understand that the original separation that was in the Americas during the time of the 13 colonies and all of that was classism. And that classism is basically what they want to go back to. And that classism just means if you don't live where we live, you don't have the stature that we have, is the status that we have, you're beneath us, you're nothing. Yep. Go ahead, Ferg. You had your hand up.
No, I mean, you hit it right on the point. You know, I just like that also that, listen, everything about this, what y'all putting up on this screen today is going to affect us directly as colored, big nose, big lip people. I don't care what complexion you are. You got to look at the true dynamics of the majority of where our actual race reside and live, inner city, urban cities, um, the least home ownership, the least family incomes, all of these things will affect us. And for some reason, if you understand, they write the document out, they think through the process to stay years ahead of the common man. And down these policies will come into play, and us as colored people, guess what we're doing? I love the fact that you're bringing this information to the forefront, but we're talking about stuff way less trivial than this, and it will as long as it will divide us we got an election less than 6 months away,
right.
and we don't know any of these things, and all of this stuff is by design. This new president is, you got to look at two sides. If you know they both are old, they up in age, ain't no more guaranteed good years. And I think y'all in y'all 40s, so I think y'all would like to be here another 40 years where you don't have to just struggle and strife. If you ain't got a retirement plan, then you might be struggling because Social Security and income tax, retirement pays itself forward. So if you're not putting in that time 40, 35, 40 years from now, you're not going to enjoy anything. But that's what process does. They can fire you on the spot just if you 5 minutes late. If you spill coffee on your goddamn work clothes, ain't no more money. And people are not gaining the skills needed. It's more of a talk to talk. So if you want to change your life, follow this rule and it'll change your life. Other than that, shit, black folk, we still arguing about trying to raise a family. Income going worse and worse. Shit don't make sense.
Shall I play, people? Can I play?
And he will certainly indict his political opponents, his political enemies, when he's president again.
To be president, and I see me very badly, you know, they would be out of business. They'd be out. They'd be out of the election.
Out of business. They'd be out of the election. He knows what he's doing, and now there is an infrastructure to support him in every single one of his autocratic goals. I want Project 2025 to be the first thing you think of when you think about 2025 should be at the top of your list when you're thinking whether Biden should run or who should replace him, whether he's too old or whether he's handling the Israeli-Palestine conflict appropriately, whether he's best suited to address the economy. We need to be able to balance pushing Biden to do what we want and need him to do with the very real possibility that this could be the election that decides the fate of our democracy. And while the left is fighting, the right is organizing, planning, working day and night to implement this agenda. Just a few months ago, the Heritage Foundation held a leadership summit and dedicated a significant portion of their time to Project 2025, specifically informing the conservatives in attendance of their agenda and making a firm call for recruitment to staff the cult surrounding the next Republican president.
Things aren't going to change unless you commit to serving our country.
We want to make sure that the plans that are in place have been vetted so that the person knows not only what argument and excuses come in their way, but what the answer is, and have the trust of a movement-wide effort led by the Heritage Foundation to make sure that they know that it's credible and it's conservative.
This time, we have a secret weapon. This time, we have Project 2025. By learning from the experience of former conservative appointees, we can overcome common obstacles and get things done.
The reason I got involved is because I wanted to be part of a movement-led effort, and Heritage Foundation has used their influence to be able to convene the movement.
We can be ready to hit the ground running on day one of the next administration. In the wise words of Morton Blackwell, you owe it to your philosophy to study how to win. Project 2025 will ensure a conservative agenda is ready to roll on day number one.
Make sure that we as conservatives are prepared to hit the ground running January 20th, 2025. To learn more, go to project2025.org.
Hit.
All right. I'm gonna end it out like that. Because like I said, I said it in the beginning of this live, we did not have to watch the very, very end. The very, very end is just him giving his opinion. We heard his opinion all through the damn video. I just wanted to get to the nitty gritty of the bones. And me and Tim will like for the viewers and people on the panel to know this is not really about Trump. This is just about Project 2025 and the conservatives and what they want to do. And what do we think about this? Do we like it? Don't we like it? What we don't like, or what do we like?
No, we don't like it, of course, from what they're saying and all the, the videos made about it. We're not gonna like what they're saying. But I'm sure there's some conservatives that wouldn't like the Democratic plan either, because best believe there's a Democratic plan. Just because it's not advertised like Project 2025, Democrats have agendas and plans just like the Republicans do. So that's how it's been going. I agree with what the brother Maurice was saying. That's how it's been going since the beginning of Democrat and Republican. That's the whole point of it. And I think it's a big fear tactic, getting everybody in an uproar and upset about something that's probably like not as big as what they're making it out to be. And I don't like that guy's suit. It looked like a cheap suit he put on to sound more opinionated and believable. And I noticed it just happened to be brown and black. Like, are you trying to appeal to the people of color? Yeah. And the last thing I'm gonna say is we need to get that person of color on this show, because he was very forward. I don't want to say the C word, the COO word, but
Right. He was, they cloned Tyrone real to the team.
Well, they were catering. They were trying to, again, sometimes we get caught up in the message instead of listening to the true rhetoric of it. Because if you look at the images in the background, who did it have? Who did it have on the images?
I didn't notice the images.
Okay, it had Dr. King and Abraham Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
What happened to both of them? Think about it.
Killed.
Exactly. See how they try to play all sympathy.
And mind you, to add to that, they're actually trying to rephrase a lot of MLK's
history,
stances, and history.
Yeah. Come on now.
Like, what's his
Disrespect.
name? This guy. Shoot, what's his name? He just put out a book recently. Coleman Hughes. Coleman Hughes, something along something color blindness, which is essentially he was just restating the real arguments that Martin Luther King was originally making, where a lot of the Democrats have been taking that, and then they've been pushing this anti-racist mantra over kind of like the typical tagline of MLK, which was content of your characters was what's reigned supreme. And they've been pushing this whole anti-racism thing, which has been a problem.
The content of their character make you believe it's something else going on when really they tricking you the whole time. So I'll be glad when we wake up and see that shit. We'll change the world, but it's
You
just me.
know, the more I read it's a lot of reading, but the more it makes me think of this movie, The Handmaid's Tale. In the beginning, I don't know if you guys ever saw that show. In the beginning,
I have.
In the beginning, they kind of like a new government comes into America and just like takes over hardcore. But it's been in the process for a long time. Just people didn't see it. There's been like things passed. Just people. It was too late. And by the time it was like, this is the new law now. Everybody, even if you want to fight against it, it's already there. So that's what kind of reminds me of every time I'm reading the project thing.
The Hands Wives Tale is a little deeper than that. They had a shortage and people couldn't have kids, and only certain people could, and they went into a frenzy after that. But I guess it's psychologically very similar with the abortion. They wanted to abolish abortion and kind of regulate birth control. Like they kind of want to get rid of that as well. Like
They
they want to
took
get rid of
control.
like the abortion thing. Since I'm kind of like 60 pro life, so I'm like, okay, I could get over that. But the whole contraceptive part, we don't want people to protect themselves. Like we don't want to promote you know prevention of pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies and things of that nature. But here's the thing. I'm gonna say something with this situation. You have the conservatives that are like super into the I want to say the Christian conservative side. I think that's what the guy was talking about, the white nationalists, which is like AKA the Christian conservative political side of things. And they kind of push those, quote unquote traditional aspects of policies as far as fitting like making birth control political, or making women's health issues political, which we already know is not enough studies on that, especially with black women. So to try to defund that or try to like outlaw that, kind of fucked up for us. We need more awareness, more money spent on our health.
Y'all
And
need more.
exercise not going to really help all of that. There's other things in black women health that we just need to work and worry about.
Black women don't need more money; they need more discipline. That can't be legislated. Like these are choices. Women, they love saying.
I don't think a thyroid is a choice. That has nothing to do with like your health or what you eat.
Random rare disease. All right, we're not talking about. We're talking about everything else.
But it's not rare. It's a lot of black women have it. Like, and it's not like she got fat. We talking about like her insides, bro. Her ovaries.
It's rare.
Her reproductive system.
So you're saying
like we don't have
majority,
enough studies of
more than
going on.
51% of black women deal with this problem. Is that what you're saying?
A lot of black women deal
That's
with
not my
being
question.
high risk, and we're not even 30 yet.
What did I miss?
Are you saying more than 51%?
Well, I was saying that he wants to defund a lot of women's studies, women's health studies, and things like that. And I said it really affects us black women because we need more money in the studies of our health, our awareness, and things like that. Breast cancer awareness, all these things that are just affecting us. And he was like, no, y'all just need more discipline.
It's affecting everybody. But listen,
It's all right.
some of the rules I kind of okay with it. Some of them I can be like, okay. If you really look at it, some of the rules and regulations, a lot of Christian, like straight Christian, would probably be like, okay, it's not bad. However, when they start coming for certain groups, you're scared because you're like, dang, they can come for my group too. So that is where I'm like, because some of the rules and regulations, I'm like, okay, this is what I follow anyways every day. But then if they're kind of putting that group in one area and hating on them, later on they will come for me as the like whatever group I am in, right? So that's the scary part. So everybody has to kind of accept each other in order to kind of live in this environment and society.
I mean, you kind of have to state the rule, and then we can just talk about what are the benefits, what are the trade-offs, what is the negative aspects of that rule. Like,
I don't want to go into that rule because that rule is like serious, but I believe in it, but I can see why it could be wrong in both aspects of it.
I don't know if anybody else is clear, but I'm not clear.
I just don't think that state and your faith should just match. It just don't match. Not in America. It's too many faiths. You got Muslims, you got Christians, you got Catholics. It's just it's too much. So if we supposed to be the land of the free, and all these other, you can't go against constitutions because it's just not working out for you today in 2024. Like, that's not fair for other people that come over here. That's not a Christian or not a Catholic.
I mean,
So I
all
don't
of
think
it.
that you shouldn't marry those two things. But since a lot of conservatives marry those two things into each other, and then the liberals don't want to marry some of those two things in with each other, then we have a fight. I say let's balance it out. Let mom and dad get back together since they divorced each other. Yeah, I mean, maybe y'all should reconcile.
There you go, Morphine. Ain't that your time? It's y'all time down to get married. It's y'all young 34s and 38s and 36s.
But I mean, the freedom you're talking about is, I don't want to be married. I'm not talking about in the literal manner. I'm talking about according to your
my analogy. Yeah,
according to your analogy, part of freedom is the freedom that you're describing is I don't want to be married. That is part of that freedom too. This is
both
where
sides agree on that.
this definition of freedom, y'all misusing it to the point where it means you're free to do whatever you want. No, you're free to do as you ought is what it is. Not do whatever you want. It's to do as you ought. There is something that you ought to do.
Do as you wilt.
No. That's the satanic motto over there. No, you need to do as you ought. There is something that you ought to do. This is where the values that you have, right? If your values are literally built on what my man just said over there, do what thy wilt, then you've been cast into chaos, utter hedonistic chaos. Whatever feels right at that moment for that period of time is what you're going to do. Freedom and what this country was built on, the concept of freedom that they were talking about is do as you ought to do.
I disagree with
to
that
get
one.
on birth control. You ought
I disagree
to
with
be
that
able to
because
have the right to get on birth control if you
No,
want to.
you ought
That's
to
what you
not
ought.
get on birth control. That's not pure in the woman's life.
Let's hear Neo's disagreement.
my disagreement is you ought to decide at 38 years old that you were born the wrong gender, and you ought to sit there and say and make everybody else conform to your delusion that you're another sex, that you weren't born. That's what we're going through right now, and that goes under the do as thou wilt, not do as thou ought.
Right, that's the
You
will.
agree with me? So
Right.
you agree with me?
No, I agree with Tim. I'm agreeing with Tim that they're actually pushing to do as thou wilt, and it's a lot that we're giving up in these last 5 to 6 years. We've given up a lot of like stuff that we never thought we would have to deal with, ever, and I'm talking about the alphabet committee for the main part, and going the bathroom situation and stuff like that. It's stuff that we thought you ought to do
Yeah,
that they're
redefining
destroying
marriage,
right now.
redefining marriage, all of that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
He agreed.
yeah, we agree. It's just that you're misunderstanding when I say ought. Because there is
No,
something
I
that
think
you
y'all
ought to do.
agree. It's just in different ways. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
yeah,
y'all
there's something
understand.
there is something that we ought to do. The issue is that we don't like having that conversation because it means drawing some serious lines and saying, you know what, your freedom ends here. And nobody likes that conversation because you know what? On the other side of that line is stuff that people actually want to do.
Yeah, we gotta. Why can't we? The be solution oriented. Why can't we just have a happy medium? You want this, I
You can
want that. How can we meet in a happy medium with things?
stuff you're talking about is like, is there a happy medium with the amount of arsenic that you can take? That's the stuff you're talking about. There's no happy medium here. How much
It
arsenic
can't be
is a
one.
good
It can't be all one way though, and it can't be all this way. Because when
no
it was
certain
all
things
this way, we don't like it. When it was all that way, we ain't like that neither. So we gotta come
no
to a happy medium.
certain things need to be all the way. There's certain things like there's no such thing as a little bit of murder. There's no such thing as a little bit of arsenic is good for you. Like there's certain things that are all the way. We playing with them literally leads to self-destruction. It's
But we've
maybe
been playing with
slow
shit all.
self-destruction, but it's
We gonna
self-destruction nonetheless.
we gonna play with it. We
It
gonna
doesn't
play
make
with
it
it.
right.
It doesn't make it right, but we're gonna play with it. So what is the solution of what to not play with? And I do agree, certain things need to be just that way.
Set them on fire.
Then certain things just need to be, let's meet in the happy medium. I
No,
say, let's get rid of, if you want to, for the conservatives, if you want to get rid of abortions, fine. If you, for the settlement of keeping, birth control, just keep that. What I gave up one
No,
thing and I gained
no,
another. Why
no,
can't we?
no. Listen, what it does is it takes away the purity. It takes away an opportunity for purity from a sister, because we know the results. They've been going on for 35, 40 years. There's been a lot of young, unwed pregnancies. A lot of young brothers and sisters have been born under this dynamic for the last 40 something years.
but
It has to change.
that doesn't address their argument.
What I'm saying is, you can't give these young women freedom to just go have free sex, and sort of it dismisses everything about what these young women can be. We have to take that away, and you have to hold. It's just all about education at this point. We still having the same amount of babies. You know what I'm saying? And there's still the same disparities that lay across the
You
board.
taking away abortions and you giving them
No,
We're
the
not doing. Hold up.
option
no,
of
I want to,
birth
I want to
control.
drop.
Would you
I want
have
to,
to stay under a certain
I
way?
want to drop my
Like
my
disciplines on
interpretation
that.
in here. I want to drop my interpretation on here because I dig what Ferg was saying, but at the same time, I dig what Maurice was saying too. Now, and this is just all in theory, of course, because back in the days we didn't have birth control, right? And before the implementation of birth control, what was the social norm was women were more cautious of what they did with themselves, right? They were more
Discipline.
they took the time to vet particular men, and they took agency over themselves and said, I have this amount of self-worth and I respect myself to this degree to where I'm not going to allow myself to be put in a position to where I am solely responsible for a child that I did not solely create on my own.
It's less
But fast forward to today, and now they have agency to say, oops, I made a mistake. Well, I'll just take care of it.
Someone gonna save me. Someone gonna save me. Someone gonna fix it.
But all that's changing according to these policies that they're creating. Like Brother Timothy just said, it's going to affect a lot of these women. A lot of those policies are changing, so the women's behavior including the brothers' behavior, has to change. Ain't gonna be no more free handouts for us poor folk down here. I don't know what y'all thinking about. People ain't buying houses. People already separated on everything, buying, still buying consumer goods the same. All that shit get
That's
ready to
crazy.
change, man.
Something you
But I
said is
don't
something we didn't even get
population
to
gonna
touch
go
on.
up.
I
People gonna
don't.
start having
We
5
didn't, but
kids
Yeah.
no.
again.
He
Baby
said
after
something.
baby.
He said something that goes to the topic, and we didn't get to touch on, because the effect of this Project 2025 is going to predominantly have an impact on lower income individuals. It's not even a matter of it being, black people. It's just people of color and low income people, period. So, like in a hypothetical scenario, let's say that they merge because it wants to. So let me read from the notes. Project 2025 has outlined the processes of significant changes to federal departments that include the abolishment of the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Labor, the Department of State, the Department of Defense, Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, the National Endowment for Arts and Humanities, and a number of various other agencies. So let's just look at how this affects us as the poor folk, right? The abolishment of the Department of Education means no more federal funding for schools. So this could possibly, I'm not saying it is, this creates the possibility of no longer having public schools available for everyone. It creates that possibility. I'm not saying it is. It creates the possibility that it could happen. The abolishment of the Department of Labor that does away with worker unions and protections and hiring. This is all possible. I'm not saying it will happen. It creates the possibilities for these things to occur. So you know what I mean? The Department of Commerce deregulation of how businesses conduct themselves. It's so many things that come into place. Like the Department of Education, the abolishment of or downsizing of significant responsibilities of federal funding transferred to the states. So money that the schools were guaranteed from the states via head count of the of attendance is now, that funding is now under the responsibility of the state. Where's the state going to get all of these billions of dollars that were already coming in that were guaranteed?
There's no IRS. There's
That's
no IRS.
okay. So
What's
that
that
just
mean?
gets so no I. But let's look at the ramifications of the IRS. If you get rid of if we get rid of, and I mentioned this earlier because the conservatives love to say, when I read about the difference between conservative and liberals, is the conservatives are like, powerful military, blah blah blah, military funding. There's no IRS, there's no federal funding. Where's this money going to come from? So it's like
Property taxes. Hold on. You asked the question. Property taxes, local taxes.
Brother.
But that's state. But that's state.
I know. This is how we run it in Texas. Listen. Just because there's no IRS doesn't mean they can't be for federal taxes. Let's clarify that first. It's not the same thing. Okay. It's honestly, I thought
you're right. You're right, because the IRS is just the agency that enforces the payment.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And most of the time they're enforcing the laws on poor people. They're not enforcing on these rich people. I remember when I used to live in Boston, there was debating whether GE could move into Boston when GE is known by everybody known to be a tax evader, and they can't do nothing about it. Right? So IRS is not doing its purpose. It's beaten down on the everyday I get a paycheck.
But
in a hypothetical. So Maurice, in a hypothetical scenario, because what you're saying is true. The way that the IRS operates is, I got a friend that does payroll and taxes and stuff. Is Trump said it blatantly. He's like, I don't pay taxes because I'm breaking the law. I don't pay taxes because I'm smarter than you. So therefore, there are a number of laws and regulations in place that protect wealthy people. So,
change that wording. It's not about protection.
Well,
It's
not necessarily protect loopholes. Yeah,
you can't write a law with no holes in it.
Right. So this is the thing, though.
Way to finagle around it.
Without the IRS to hold what little accountability they hold, what's the alternative? No accountability at all?
No. Most of the taxes that come from businesses in general come from the employees, not from the actual business per se.
Yeah, payroll tax. I'm here.
So that's what it was always intended to be, anyways. But then because of the whole tax bracket, I forgot the name of the term, but the whole different tax brackets and stuff like that.
Tax brackets.
It was an attempt to get at these business owners and have them pay taxes, right? But they still find a way around it.
When you talking about
have a system there, they get around it. Have no system around there, they don't get around it. So it's like,
yeah, I remember it was a big news story.
Can't catch.
Right, it was a big news story that one year Amazon filed $0 in federal taxes
with all of our protections. All of our protections.
But Timothy, this is the unique catch for it, because you're talking about Fortune 500 companies. That's a small comparison to compared to all these. I don't know if any of y'all still work a job or not. I don't know how many years y'all got till y'all retire anyway. If you 40, your ass got to go till you're 76 years old. So I don't know what you're gonna be doing at 76, because they done raised the age.
I'm just stepping on roaches.
Okay, so that's a long time to work, and you get to your 30th, your 25th year, all of a sudden they say they let your ass go. What you gonna do then? This stuff is for real. This ain't for fake out here. This is gonna affect y'all children. But y'all gonna have a whole bunch of children that can't read or write.
And that goes to the
Is that what you're
department,
saying?
and
That we
that goes to
gonna
the abolishment of the Department of Labor and deregulating labor.
The state, look at the states where people of color live at. You think they gonna come and rebuild your house if the tornado come through? Hell no.
Well, I can speak
on,
to
man.
the Department of Labor too.
Ain't gonna be no Department of Labor, because either the young bucks ain't getting out there putting in no labor. All that stuff pays itself forward. And if they don't do that while they young and in their prime, they age out. AI is coming to take their place, and enough immigrants. You got to remember, it's 2 wars going on at the same time. Biden just said he's unleashing all U.S. involvement. So that changed the dynamic. All you 40-year-olds, get your ass ready to go to the war. Get ready to go fight. Or shut the hell up, get out of the way, let these young bucks ride. Because they go come and get your shit if you ain't acting right. Understand that. That's all I got, man. For real. Get out of their way. Young bucks, take over.
But yeah, like I was gonna say, I can speak to the Department of Labor. It's essentially gonna force people more towards entrepreneurship rather than trying to find a job, right? Job is insecure. What's the number one reason people don't get into a business? Lack of security, right? Or the potential risk of failure. Well, if the potential risk of failure in the labor market is just as high, you know what? I'm gonna start my own business. And then that's gonna increase competition. And competition's always good, always good. The reason we don't like Amazon is because there's no competitors. That's why we go after
You're forgetting this key stat though, Maurice.
What's
like
that?
80 to 90% of all businesses fail. 80 to 90% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. So if you're creating all this competition, it's good, and the ideal of competition is good. But if I'm selling donuts and you selling donuts, I need to take Maurice out. he cut it into my profits, Jack. He need to have some kind of mysterious car accident or something, because I need to sell these donuts.
What ends up happening in that situation is you end up.
Bro, Maurice, do you have enough white clientele Do you have enough white clientele right now to support your said business?
I don't have a business. So
Okay. So okay. I'm not saying you do. So let's just look at it like that, because business is about money. It's about producing money. And if most of us of color are not even getting in jobs where you can make enough money to pay our rent and pay our mortgage, ain't nobody buying no products anyway. Everybody's walking around with their hand out.
Listen, I was
So
speaking in general. All right, I was speaking
really
really broad.
That's just coming.
When you talk about the Department of Labor going right,
Prepare yourself.
That's what I was answering. I wasn't talking.
Well, even with that though, even with that, if you defund the Department of Regulations and the Department of Labor, when you defund the Department of Labor and you reduce regulations, what happens to the federal minimum wage? It's gone. So if the federal minimum wage is gone, does that mean companies have to say, well, hey, since the federal minimum wage is gone, we should start charging people less because that's not that's not gonna happen. That's not how capitalism works. It's like, well, shit, that don't got nothing to do with me.
So we need to get ready for Mad Max and the Thunderdome, I guess, because we got the IRS gone. We got the Department of Labor gone. We ain't got no public schools because the Department of Education gone. The kids just got to fend for themselves and do whatever they daddy do. That's like, come on, bro. Like, that's not about to happen. That's all I'm saying.
Y'all don't want it to happen.
No, I don't want. Right, I don't want that to happen. But I'm
want to
saying,
emphasize that I said the possibilities. I didn't say
yeah,
it was
I get it. But I just want to emphasize, for 4 years later, when none of this shit happens, I just wanted to be documented that I told y'all so.
Oh, no, it ain't gonna happen in 4 years.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen in 4 years.
For Neil and Tim, I don't think any of that will be gone the way you guys kind of described it. It'll be, as you said, Tim, it'd be more like the education part. Now they'll have their own teaching. It'll still be free. People can go, but now they can have their own history being taught, the way kids are being, like, it will just
Yeah,
be their
no, I
own
was being
narrative.
sarcastic. I was being totally sarcastic.
I know. Hold on.
But the thing about it is without
There's not going to be no public
going back
schools.
to the
There's going to be no funding for
well,
them.
even go.
You want to pay for your kids to go to school.
Well,
And that's not gonna happen.
not gonna
Keisha. We
happen.
gonna have
It's already happening. What do you mean it's not going to? It's already happening.
All right, okay.
It's already happening.
Okay, hang on. So again, I'm saying this is a possibility of what could happen. I live in a state that has a lot of state tax money. I live in California. The corporate tax out here is so ridiculous that companies are just like, you know what, we about to pack up and leave. You know what I mean? So maybe in California, the way that would affect us would be there would be a more emphasis on truancy laws because those butts in the seats equal money. So there would be more emphasis on truancy laws. So kids who did schooling and all of that gonna risk their parents going to jail. It's gonna also mean if there's no federal regulation of schooling, that means there is no federal curriculum. So that means I live in a state that's so blue that it's purple. So that means and I live in we got the capital of LGBTQ plus. We got San Francisco here. So that says that can be implemented into the school now because the curriculum is now allocated by the state and not the federal standard. So there's a lot of nuance. That's why I would the stuff that I was saying earlier when I was like this was a possibility. Those were the worst case scenarios. That's the extreme of the extremes. The worst case scenarios, like the worst case scenario is this, but dialing it back, there's far other nuances that come into play that are just as harmful. And I land the plane.
I don't know. You went through too many topics. You just went there and cut a knife through all these topics, and you're supposed to respond. I can't respond to all that. I mean, I did just finish doing the math on minimum wage because I can tell you Texas right here. Minimum wage is the federal minimum wage of $7.25. Okay, And I just did the math, and there's 30 million people here in Texas, and 400,000 people are working at minimum wage or lower. That's literally 1% of the population that's working at minimum wage or lower. So, you you really got to put all this stuff into context of what people do when they realize they got to get their shit together and get it done. Instead of daddy government saying, oh no, we're going to help you out. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be safety nets, because you don't want people to fall to absolute poverty. But there needs to be this, like, people need to thrive to build. If they don't have that, they tend to just lean and relax. It's like having, anybody ever have somebody over your house and they just stay a little bit too long?
Yep.
They just stay just a little bit too long, and you don't know what to tell them to get the hell out of your house. Like, a lot of people have gotten that way, and how they feel. Like, you sitting here, you damn comfortable on welfare, right? Like, why are you so comfortable here? This is bare minimum. We expected you to go reach for more, but you happy here. Time to get out.
Man, I just looked that up right now, and Texas follows the federal minimum wage of $7.25.
Exactly.
Hey man, California's minimum wage as of January 1st, 2024 is $15.50.
Yep.
But when you look at the numbers, in reality, it all balances out to the same. Ain't no difference from
Right.
California minimum
Right.
wage.
No, you're right. You're right. So
Because y'all housing, that's twice as much as
right.
a little bit more, but twice as much roughly as the minimum wage in Texas. But the price of living in California is way more than twice
Wow.
the price of living in Texas. It's expensive out there.
Now imagine this. There is now no more federal minimum wage. So these same companies that's
Why are
paying
we
these.
imagining that?
No. This is we're playing if this project
Yeah, see.
2025 goes into play. So if
All
this
right.
project, if the project goes into play, and if this possibility does become a reality, imagine, okay, well, minimum wages Texas is $7.25. We're gonna remove this, and now employers can say, "Oh, you want a job? Well, all you're gonna be doing is sweeping the floor. So I'll give you $2 an hour." You can't say no. You can say no, and I don't want to work.
Thank you. No, stop right there. Stop right there. You can say no. And one of the things I learned when people are applying for jobs, they don't say no enough. They hop on the first offer that they get, and then they stick there as long as they can't tolerate it. Then they try to find another job. You know why? Because you in a house that you don't belong in, that you're comfortable in. It's the same mentality.
I think a bigger part of that is for the most part, people, and I personally think, and this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is what it is for everybody. Just my opinion is I think a lot of people that take that first offer are people that come from positions of desperation. You know, if I'm a dude and I got out the pen and I got a felony and I'm applying for, I done went to 35 interviews and heard no. The first yes I hear, I'm gonna jump on. I'm gonna tell them no, I don't want this job because it only pay $10 an hour.
Listen to all the caveats you have to put on it. Is that the majority of people out here?
Yes, that's the majority of life. That's the majority. The majority is that my kid. No, listen. The majority is
the majority.
Yeah, the majority of people is I got kids, I got bills, and I'm going on all these interviews, and everybody telling me, sorry, Mr. Tim, but we gonna go with another client. We're gonna go with another applicant. Sorry, Mr. Tim. The
Hey,
first
look
person
here.
after I hear 25 no's, the first person to say yes, I'm gonna be like, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. I got a job. You see?
I'm gonna say it like this: when you look on the back of your dollar and you see that pyramid on there, the majority of people is in those first 3 rows of that pyramid, and that's the bottom.
I just want to say something, Maurice. It seems like you have options to like go to a job interview and be like, it's not really where I belong. I want to reach for the stars, and that's beautiful. And you know what? Mashallah for you. But majority of people, like Tim
Assalamu alaikum,
said,
sister.
they
Assalamu.
have majority of people, like Tim said, they have houses, they have kids, they have this, they have that. They don't have the luxury to be like, oh no, I'm gonna wait for better opportunities. They just have to jump on it, like you said, tolerate it and find something better and just continue on moving like that. They don't have the luxury to be like, oh no, I'm just gonna chill at home while something else comes in.
I have
Another thing.
hold on.
Another
Wait.
thing.
Hold on. Before you go to the other thing, because I gotta address this thing. You are you assuming that I have the luxury to just up
Well,
and
the
leave?
way you're talking, you're like,
No.
well,
I'm speaking.
people should say no. So I'm
Yeah,
thinking, no,
Right.
I never
Yeah.
said no. Even though
That's
I
a
have a
problem.
degree,
Well, that's a
it
problem. Hold on, wait. That's a problem that you don't say no to certain offers. Because I'm gonna
that's
tell you,
what I'm saying.
when I got my best offers is when I learned how to say no, and they get back on the damn phone and they say, you know what, we can offer you this, and that's when I say yes, right? Like
It depends on the market you're going into.
there's a
It
certain
depends on the market
ability
you're
of
going into.
negotiating
Brother Maurice.
salaries. You guys is
Brother
whatever.
Maurice, are you a
Yeah.
family man? Brother Maurice, are you a family man?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
mean, my
Are
my
you?
my family's a little disjointed, but it definitely.
No, what I'm saying, you married, correct? If I'm
No,
correct?
I was married. I'm divorced.
Oh, okay. So right now, yes, you're living a single life. Have you been married? Have you just ended your marriage recently, or for some several years now?
I was married for 12 years. I don't know if that helps.
No. When did it end? What year did it end? How long ago? Maybe 8, 10.
Like 5 years, maybe.
Okay. So you've been living a single life and taking care of yourself and doing well for yourself, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
and most common men your age and probably a little older, a little younger may not have that experience. And then you have the product of the single parent home compiled on top of that. So in some of our communities of color, the black man's unemployment rate is double, 10, 9, 8% in
I got
some of
one
these
question.
major cities.
I got one question.
Yeah.
Whose responsibility is it?
At some point, once they turn 21, it's the responsibility of the man, the
It's the
young man, to find a way. But
let's make it simple. It's the responsibility of the individual that's looking for this betterment of life. It's not the responsibility of the government to fix this.
But I
Okay.
think you're missing. I think what you're missing,
Yeah.
Maurice, is
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is we live in a society to where if you can have a Harvard degree and you can submit an application, and if your name is DeQuarius Johnson, they're gonna throw your application in the trash as opposed to a person named Jonathan Smith. Is now who's now how does that affect the responsibility of the individual that's attempting to get this career and make something of themselves when they're just something as simple as their name deprives them of that opportunity?
Maybe Miss Fields could help me out with this because she posted a wonderful
Thank you.
video that was amazing, and I think would address this whole situation of it was like one of those Dar Man videos or whatever, and the father gave his daughter a watch, and she took that watch to the pawn shop, and they offered her like $100 for that watch. Then she went to I can't remember where she went. She went to the jewelry store, and they offered her $10,000 for that same watch. Then she went. She went to a guy that trades in watches, and that dude was like that watch is worth well over several hundred grand, right? You need to find where you're accepted. That requires work. It's not gonna show up just because you have a degree. This is the world that we've been taught to live in. You go through the process, you go through the mill, and then you expect everything to just fall into your lap.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. That is absolutely a fact. Now, I know that story had its own little setting and everything, but in a situation to where a person is hungry and they have a family to feed, what do they do? No. What do you do in the meantime, in between time, while you're looking for this person to buy the watch for $100,000? Because your rent is still due. You're hungry.
Listen. If you no, this is anybody ever read The Richest Man in Babylon? Anybody?
I'm unfamiliar.
All right, I recommend that book for everybody. Richest Man in Babylon. Write it down, whatever. I'll say it one more time. The Richest Man in Babylon. There's a story in there about a slave that had the ability to buy himself out, and he made an agreement with his slave master. Again, whatever. He made an agreement with the slave master that he would work, and he would work extra to be able to get to the point where he can earn enough money to buy himself out. And then the slave master was true to his word, allowed him to buy himself out. He continued to work for the master and asked for money for the thing, because the slave master was making so much money off of the fact that this slave, or former slave now, was able to work for them. Now he's making more money, to the point that he built up not only the skills, the work ethic, the information on how to operate the business from this person, to the point that now he was so proficient that he went off to continue to do the work. This is a basic tenet of life that you hold on. This is a basic tenet of life that sometimes you gotta eat shit for a while and build yourself. You got to build your skills. You got to build your options. You got to build all this stuff. The problem is you're not allowed to get comfortable there. You're not allowed to get comfortable there. You in these situations where you have a kid and all these other caveats of what's going on, like those are decisions, those are additional burdens that you put on yourself.
Oh my God! Listen. Now, hold on.
Wait, no, I've been quiet the whole time.
Jessica, you go.
So I just wanted to share a quick story. When William was first born, Billy, who is a teacher, because he was not a tenured teacher, during a budget cut, he actually got let go. And a man with a degree who is a teacher, that man went during the day and he sold cars. And then at nighttime, he went and stocked shelves at Walmart because he knew, one, his wife couldn't go to work. She had just given birth. And two, he had a family to feed and bills to pay. So I think that's what they're trying to get at, where there are sometimes you have to accept something to get you through until that next thing comes. Now, the one thing that I do agree with you with is no, you should not stay there. And it didn't take him long to get another teaching position. However, in the meantime, he was like, I got a child to feed and a wife to take care of. So me with my degree, I'm going to go to Walmart on overnights and stop for $8 an hour. And then in the morning, I'm going to go try to sell somebody these cars so I can pay these bills and take care of this child and my wife. And I think that's what they're saying. Not that people should just accept whatever comes their way, but that sometimes you're just in a situation where, hey, if that $2 is going to get me a loaf of bread and some bologna to feed my kid for now, that's just what I'm going to have to do. And hopefully something better. I should be looking for something better. You shouldn't wait for it to come along. You should continue to look for something better.
I mean, like, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
I'm done. I just wanted to share that because I think that's the point that they were making.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. QT got the floor next. Go ahead, QT.
Thanks, Jessica. Honestly, with all the conversation you've been saying and I've been listening, it seems like you lack the empathy for other individuals where you don't have the same experience. It's like if nobody walks in your own shoes, you don't understand other situations. So not everybody, and when it comes to social services, some people actually need social services. Without social services, a lot of family would be really hurting right now. So that is needed. The government does need to provide that. Okay. And when it comes to people struggling, yes, everybody struggles. Not everybody is in the same level as you. So for you to be like, oh, then everybody needs to like say no to certain opportunities, blah, blah, blah. You need to tread lightly when you say those kind of things, because you come off as in somebody who just had no bumpy roads and that worked hard for everything and is looking back and saying everybody should work hard too. But what I'm saying, due to society, due to trauma, due to people's backgrounds, a lot come into effect when it comes to everybody's daily lives. So it's weird for me to stand here and watch you talk and say social services are not needed, because there's a lot I am a social worker, so there's a lot of people I see that really do need social services. All the single mothers that can't just leave their kid to go to work, they want to, but like social services does help in those kind of aspects. Child care does help with those aspects. There's a lot of things that help, which you can't understand, or you can't, I don't know,
You
you
can.
can't empathize because you're not there. You don't have a child. You don't, you do, I don't know, but it seems like you're not empathizing, brother. So I'm just saying you need to just you need to just breathe, and you need to be like, okay, what are those people going through for them to be like not achieving what I'm achieving?
I need to respond, please, please. So I don't have the empathy, or even Miss Fields in her explanation also didn't have the empathy, but apparently you do.
That's not what I said. I said
No, 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 no,
you
no, no,
don't
no.
have the
You can,
empathy.
no, you can't accuse me of not having empathy, but
Your
claim.
words and everything you're
No, no, no,
saying
no, no, no.
doesn't seem like you
So,
have empathy.
so do you do? All right, let me ask you straight up. Do you have the empathy then?
With the field that I chose, yes, I do have empathy, because I
Okay.
can
No, no,
understand
no,
that
no. But
everybody has different lives and different issues and problems, and I can empathize. I can never feel how you feel. However, I can pause and look and not be judgmental.
okay, okay. So if you're saying you have the empathy because you went through it, because that's what you accuse me of, or us, or this just idea of, is that we didn't go through it, so therefore we're having a hard time, or unable to empathize appropriately. Is that what
What
you're
I'm
claiming?
what I'm saying is, the information or the way you're talking about social services, the way you're talking about how everybody should just wait for the golden ticket and people should just try hard and all that, is looking like you're lacking empathy in certain aspects of life and how people are going, what people are going through. That's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about you. However, the way you're coming off seems like you're lacking empathy. So I'm just saying, do you not understand other people's struggle? Or do you just say, no, we all struggle, but you need to just keep going? I'm not understanding where you're coming from.
What's the alternative? What's the alternative? Don't don't keep going. Is that like don't keep going? Is that the alternative?
What I'm saying is people keep going. It might be in big leaps or it might be in small leaps, but in the end of the day, everybody keeps going. But what you are not understanding is you want people to go into your level of leaps. So I'm just saying everybody has different levels of success.
All right, let's.
Anyways, I'm done.
Yeah, no, I mean let's clarify some things.
Well,
I didn't want to go into the fact that I've also been in human services for the good majority of my career as well, and the propositions that I'm putting out would actually put me and my job at strain, where I would be back out in the market trying to figure out what else to do. So let's not talk about I don't have like skin in the game here in the ideas that I'm putting out here. They would affect me directly if certain aspects of what I'm talking about were put in place.
Okay, well, let me come out here and throw out this big 60-40 right here. We've been a long time and I haven't had no 60-40. So let me 60-40 y'all up right now. All right. Social services is absolutely a needed thing. What is not needed is the abuse of social services. What is not needed is social services to be seen as a safety net for the mistakes that you make in your life. Like the example you gave with single parents. I was a single parent with my oldest child. Absolutely. Social services came in, looked out. I can't knock it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But what I did not do is get comfortable. I didn't say, you know what? I'm okay with having the bare minimum. I'm okay with just getting this couple of dollars and having this, you know. And while I live in California, so I wasn't fortunate enough to get Section 8. Would have been a great thing. Would have been great. Would be great. Section 8 out here is great. But originally Section 8 was only available to disabled disabled individuals and seniors. That was what it was originally for. For people with fixed incomes, seniors, Social Security, and people that couldn't work because of disabilities. That's what it was for. But now you see, whole people going to work every day and having section. So the exploitation of social services to me is the problem, and it overtaxes the system to where there's people that actually need it that can't get it because of it. And I don't know.
That's where my empathy is. That's where my empathy is. It's these
And
people that sitting there can't get the services that they need to get because people that don't need services are using them. That's where my empathy is.
Come up here.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you a question. What year did that dynamic change in reference to allowing others outside of those two parameters that you mentioned to get the welfare and the social services? Because that changed the dynamic of how, it spoke to the need of the woman, because women were allowed to get those positions just by having children. This is all a learned behavior, because you spoke at a time when you understood the mission of you as a man. You saw it around you. You saw the adults around you working and thriving and putting their best foot forward. So when you was in that position, then you just carried that on. But then those dynamics change when a lot of the mothers, unfortunately, because even when you look at the early information, because I was like early kid when the projects really took off in the late 60s, early 70s. They was thriving. And then throughout the 80s, a lot of good mothers was in those projects, raising strong boys and strong daughters. And then once that crack era hit, it took a lot of those mothers out the home. The ones that was left behind in that 89, 91, 92 period, a lot of those young children were affected. The welfare took the father out the home. The drugs took the mother out the home, because the mothers, the big brothers, the uncles, and fathers were getting strung out, and the brothers were deleting each other, and the mother had to go out and do whatever she could, left the children there vulnerable. That's all by design of the product. So now those children today, who are adults, they seem to acquiesce towards that mindset, like, I don't want to work too hard. People got to give me stuff instead of me working hard. Your youngest years are your greatest time to work, but we have adults working in positions where children should be. Restaurants are for children, not for 30-year-olds and 35-year-olds.
Right. So the answer to your question is the social services in the United States began to expand beyond the elderly and the disabled individuals primarily during the Great Depression in 1935.
Back then, black folk, we didn't get social services. Your ass was out with your
Right. In
hand-me-down
19
clothes on.
in 1935 came the Aid to Families with Dependent Children, AFDC. Good old AFDC.
Yeah.
Hey Tim, I just was gonna share right quick. Just like you, when my father moved back here to the United States from Germany, he raised me most of my life, and he was actually disabled from the military. He was working on a tank. A piece of metal flew behind his eye. He got legally blind behind one eye, so they discharged him. And we moved to Buffalo, New York. And I remember when we first moved there, we stayed with his mom and his dad. And when we moved, we finally got a place. I remember being on food stamps. Now this was like in the 80s. Well, let's see, yeah, late 80s, because I was like 9. I was born in 77, so like 86, 87. So I remember it because I remember that government cheese. I remember that black and white box with the powdered milk. I
Cornflakes.
remember I remember having to take that book to the store, and you couldn't rip it out and try to sneak it. You had to open it in front of them. Like, but the moral of my story is
Unless it
that,
was $1, unless it was the one,
yep, unless it was the one.
they took
Or
the
the five.
$1 loose or
I
the
never, I
5, right?
never had coupons. I don't know what that looked like.
Oh, well, you a baby.
But what I do remember, and look, thrift store clothes, hand me downs, whatever he could get. He was a single father doing it on his own until he got his job at the post office. As soon as he got his job at the post office, we weren't on welfare anymore. And I do believe that that is a problem where too many people, they get on. Well, we're going to say women because it's majority women. They get on this system. It's easy. They get Section 8. They get Medicaid. They get all these different benefits, and it's easy. And I'll expound on that just one bit further. When I was an employer, especially when I worked at Dollar Tree, because Dollar Tree is a very low minimum wage job, and they only hire part-time workers unless you're a manager. So a lot of people who were on assistance would apply there because they knew they would only be part-time. And there would be sometimes I would have somebody call out, and I'll call one of them up. I'd be like, "Yo, I had such and such call out. Can you help me out?" And she'd be like, "Oh man, sis, I really wish I could, but I'm pushing too close to my hours. And if I make too much money, they're going to cut my assistance."
That's the worst. That's the worst.
And it happened often.
That's the
It
trick bag.
happened
of it.
often.
That's the
Hmm.
trick bag. Women think that they're coming up, but it actually puts them in a position to be poor, them
Hmm.
and their children.
You're stuck.
Can
Yeah.
I add something in this mix? Just five seconds
Yeah,
of an ad.
loud. Jesus.
It's loud.
I don't know. It's loud for me. I don't know about y'all.
Am I loud to other people?
I'm used to you being loud. You good.
Well, I remember. Hold on, wait a minute. I need a chair. Cause I
You want
was,
to interrupt everybody, then go find a chair. Come on.
yeah, I need a chair. Shit, I was sweeping as y'all was talking. All right, so as a person that just got paid more than the average in Philadelphia, when they cut my food stamps off, right? I felt that thing. That thing was hard, okay? That just because I was making $16 an hour doesn't mean I didn't need them food stamps, okay? That's what they calculated. That's not what my expenses was. And I am a woman that pays for my child education. He does not go to public school. So all that adds up. Now that's not an expense to welfare. They don't care about that part, okay? That is personal. That's my personal expense for my child to have a better education. Now, as far as my job's the medical, it sucks. Bull. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks for me. It sucks for them. Welfare has better insurance, better dental, better eyes, better urgent care. Shit, I didn't even know they started covering urgent care. That was a head's swipe. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. My job don't offer all that. They offer that to the managers, the department leaders, but not us little people. So those are triumphs in the work in the labor field that we haven't overcome yet. If they still want to charge us the minimum of the minimum wage, they did tell us that since we're making over $30,000 a year, we don't qualify for free insurance anymore, or for the $240 that they giving us to feed ourselves and our kids. Like, it's really not a lot. That's all I'm saying for those who got a job. So I understand why they be like, you know what, I'm just not going to work over a certain amount of hours. Me, I don't have that choice, because whether they give me food stamps or not, I need my money.
Y'all can talk bad about California and the cost of living all you want. Out here, if you got something like colon cancer and you got regular public insurance, you just might have a problem. Because I'm an exterminator and I got PPO insurance. Like, so maybe I don't know if it's a California thing. Like, I don't got HMO, I got PPO. So
The
I don't
PPO,
know.
PPO is supposed to be
PPO
better.
is
Yeah, yeah.
much better. Yeah, PPO is much better. Right.
All right. Can I go? Hi.
Welcome
First,
back.
thank you. First, I just want to say I got a little heated up because social services is close to my heart. I'm sorry, Maurice. I'm woman enough to apologize because I was like that was too much. So my bad. All right, and for it's true when it comes to America, social services is is needed because like you guys is healthcare you have to pay for it, dental, all that you have to pay for it. But when it comes to Canada, certain things are already covered by your health card. I guess you guys do a health insurance, do a health card, so like you can still go. Everybody gets public health services. Everybody gets the same kind of thing, but when I only like social services when it comes to daycare subsidy because that really does help me. Here, the daycare is like what 1,500 for a month. I cannot afford that plus rent plus this. So social services comes in handy when it comes to like daycare. Instead of 1,500, I'll be paying 500, and that's way better than 1,500, right? But I feel like I understand why certain ladies in America or don't want to work as much because then that would be cut off. Food is expensive. Nobody can get health care. And if you're working at what, a Dollarama or this, that, do they even give you health insurance? Probably not. So I get why they want to, unless you have degrees, unless you can go into higher and, the way Maurice thinks, you go climb up. I get it. But if you are working at a lower kind of, I get why people don't want to work full time. But when it comes to Canada, I don't know how you guys can do not working full time because here, every 2 weeks I'm calling people and I'm like, so are you going back to work? Where's your resume? Let me get you a job, all that. Because every 2 weeks or every month, like all your social workers call and then they're trying to get you off of social services unless you're disabled or you have mental health problems or you have a child who has like special needs and you can't really go back to work. Other than that, they're gonna force you to go back to work full time too. So I don't know if it works in
Well,
Canada. I feel like
out here, my insurance is contingent on me working full time. If
Yeah.
I don't do my 40 hours, it affects my eligibility. Well, it used to. It actually changed. Actually, Obamacare changed that. Obamacare made it to where you can be part time and still get insurance.
Tomato, it
Well,
sounds like you have a echo in the
That's
background.
yeah, that's Mrs. Fields.
that's me. That's
Go,
why I only turned my
go,
mic
but,
on when I was going
but
to talk.
go ahead and speak. So what she's gonna say
Yeah,
though.
so what you gotta say is what we
I just was gonna say that we have to keep in mind that here in America, you have especially this younger generation, and I think brother Trey, said it earlier. You have a lot of the younger generation who watch their mothers sit on their asses and collect welfare, and then that transfers to them. And I can tell you that because I've heard numerous stories of students of Billy's who have literally said they're 12th grade, they're about to graduate, and he'll have that conversation, say, hey guys, so what you guys plan for the future? Where y'all headed? And there have literally been young girls that will sit there and say, I'm just going to beat the system like my mama did. And you have a lot of young girls programmed to beat the system. And don't we even here have like where you can pass down Section 8? I think.
Mercy. It's an inheritance now?
Yeah, you can.
That's horrible.
Are you
Tim, look it up. I could swear I saw that somewhere where you can actually transfer your Section 8. So let's say you go somewhere and you doing a little better, but your daughter has a daughter and needs help. She can transfer that Section 8 to the daughter. I might be mistaken, so don't quote me, but I read that somewhere a while back.
I did hear about that.
Checkmate.
That's wild.
Checkmate. You poor ninjas gonna be poor for the next millennia. Get used to it.
Forever dependent.
Well, that's something that Billy says, and he teaches that to his students. And I've heard him, especially like when he's doing like homebound and it's from his computer, and because he does economics, business, marketing, and finance. And he talks to his students like they his kids. Like he don't care. He give them the real deal. And he tell them all the time, he said, you want to know why y'all in the projects? Because y'all a damn project. They gonna keep y'all right there because you are a project. And until you get yourself out of that project, you ain't never gonna be a finished project.
Okay, so
Get
here
your
it is.
ass up.
Remaining family members. If other family members are already a part of the household and are listed on the Section 8 lease and voucher, they may be eligible to continue receiving assistance. This often requires that the family member meet the program's eligibility requirements and have been living in the household for a certain period of time.
So let's break that down. Can we break that down, bro?
Let me respond to that because I just realized there was a tenant that I had that tried to pull that bullshit on me, but that joke wasn't flying because she had a daughter, and there was 2 people listed on that lease, and I had her Section 8. Literally, she was the last Section 8 I took from that point on because it was the nonsense that I had to go through, and required by Section 8, I got to do inspections. So I go over there and do inspections and stuff like that. Then the mother never there, just the daughter. I go to continue to do inspection. Next thing I know, the daughter is pregnant. Her belly big as hell. And then she gives birth and everything like that. And then I never see the mother, now grandmother, there anymore. She done moved in with her boyfriend somewhere else and tried to leave the daughter there. Tell me, listen, call me heartless, call me evil, whatever, because they weren't even paying the small amount of the, because Section 8 don't cover everything. They weren't even paying the whole thing. And I was like, you got to go. You absolutely have to leave.
But brother, everything that just been mentioned is already pretty. That's probably one of the greatest clauses that the Section 8 worker tell the young lady or the mother that you could possibly pass this down, hoping that a landlord will feel sorry for the child and allow them to stay. So it's totally up to you. So I applaud you for that. But this is just the dynamic that sisters put themselves in, and I don't think they really understand it because that creates generational poverty. It's telling your children to not achieve anything, just be slow and dumb. And it's not just affecting the young ladies. Unfortunately for them, they're having children too young. They're being sexed out too young. And it devastates the young man because he's already been shown that he can achieve no greater than what his environment is, because they have to leave at 18 if they're not in school or anything. A lot of young brothers and sisters are not going to school. So how do you continue the generational curse? Baby girl, it's okay if you get done in the house and bring your boyfriend over here and let you and him 17, 18 have a child. We're gonna continue this. And mama, we don't need no daddy. I ain't have no daddy. Mama go take care of you and the baby. We get these food stamps and you can work 25 hours a week. Don't teach your kid how to read because don't nobody need education. Son, get the fuck out. Go ahead.
Stop pushing up against their freedom, Ferg. That's their freedom, Ferg.
Hold on now. Hang on real quick, guys. We coming up on the 3-hour mark. We're off. We're kind of, the topic is over. So we're gonna go ahead and end this live, but everybody stay where you are, and we can continue the conversation, amongst ourselves.
Cool.
And thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for keep joining. Keep showing us love. Thanks to the number one players coach. Thanks to Maurice.
Yeah.
The
Sure.
studio.
Hold on.
The
Hold
studio
on.
says,
You guys go ahead and shout out your get downs.
I'll go.
Well, can I finish mine?
Damn.
Can I finish mine?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, because you were taking too long.
Is it Maxius Studio?
Man, I forgot you can't read. Maxi's, you got me messing it up. Hold on.
It's
Maxi Studio Music on YouTube. Check me out.
Well, you the one that spelled it and fudged that way. Shit, I gotta read your Ebonics right. That's not even cool.
Maxi Studio Music.
That's not even cool.
Man, that's all I got. That's cool.
I was trying to let him get his shout out on. She closed you down. Look, she cold.
Yeah. She hated me.
I was already doing it, and you just had to do it, huh? You just had to do it.
I said this already. I'm gonna say it again. Maxi Studio Music. Check me out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, do that YouTube thing. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Let me do the sleep dude. Sleep dude. Hold
one love.
Neo love. Hold on. I'm talking. Hold on.
He's
Sandpit.
Now I gotta do what you did.
Sandpit Records. Check me out on YouTube and all that. Get the music crowd. You heard me? This Louisiana. You hear? No, just. All right. Then we got my man. Go ahead.
Oh man, just Trey Ferg, man. You can follow me at Trey Ferg at the player coach. Sometime I'm the player, sometime I'm the coach. Come check me out. I'm just getting started, so it's gonna be cooking up soon. So it's already getting the mix. Come check me out.
All right.
Anybody else got something they want to throw out there?
Mrs. Fields, are you going to promote the channel, the slow conversation,
the soul flow?
Soul Flow sorry, I was chasing the duck. Soul Flow Conversations. Every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have some great topics, great conversations. Come check us out. I'm the co-host. Dedrick, the Cookie Man, is actually the host. So come check us out sometime.
Just let your soul flow.
So can I promote my green card application?
Mercy. Go ahead, do your thing.
I was just playing.
You got the floor, miss.
I was playing.
I just want y'all to know that I'm shooting my shot at Maurice because I'm trying to get a green card, and he evil, and I like evil dudes because they turn me on. Because the bad boys always turn everybody up. So.
That was a good
And I was only debating with him because I like him really much. Go ahead.
Y'all a mess.
A whole mess.
Oh, what happened? What me?
That's it.
Yeah.
QT, you ain't.
Yeah, she threw with it.
She quit.
All right, so y'all stay right here, and we can continue the conversation after the live is over.